Hey friends, hope you're all doing well. We're doing okay too, just really tired since we've been working non-stop. We wanted to answer a question many of you ask: how does our publishing process work? Most of our audiobooks are first posted on Patreon as paid content. They stay behind a paywall for a few months. After that, they become free to access on Patreon forever. Then, a few weeks later, we upload them to other platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, X. Lately, our community hasn't been growing much, and we could really use your help. Please share our site in your Facebook groups, Discord servers, Reddit threads, Twitter, X, or with any friends who might be interested. Every little bit helps and we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for being with us and supporting what we do. Chapter 39, Joey Boy. The ship's coating was finally complete. With a deep breath, the vessel plunged beneath the waves, entering the depths of the ocean, its destination, Fishman Island. This island was extraordinary. Located 10,000 meters beneath the sea, it sat under the Red Line, the natural barrier dividing the Grand Line into its first and second halves. For those aiming to venture into the so-called New World, the second half of the Grand Line, there were only two routes. The first route was to cross the Red Line itself, a method facilitated by the world government. Ships would switch vessels along this path, allowing the Navy to deploy reinforcements or retreat swiftly when necessary. The second route was via Fishman Island, where a massive undersea tunnel in the Red Line enabled passage. However, the success rate for reaching Fishman Island was abysmally low, barely 20%, if not less. Although Joey, given his identity, could have opted to cross the Red Line with ease, that wasn't his purpose. His gaze was firmly set on Fishman Island. It was a critical piece in his grand plan. Fishman Island boasts a population of nearly 5 million. Joey murmured, massaging his temples. It's by far the largest non-human community. While the long-arm and long-leg tribes are significant in size, they're nowhere near this scale. As he thought about the island, the magnitude of its population stood out. If he could persuade some of them to leave with him, it would be a significant step forward. But Joey was well aware it wouldn't be easy to achieve. Still, he smiled faintly. The dangers that plague Fishman Island. They've never truly been resolved, have they? Fixing them shouldn't be too difficult. A hint of confidence played at his lips. Joey had never encountered a person without weaknesses. Whether it was Jarl, King Riku, or anyone else, everyone had something they feared, something that could be exploited. Once their vulnerabilities were in hand, controlling them became a simple matter. Truthfully, Joey never had a talent for increasing his own strength. He had a low potential. And yet he didn't mind. His mother, brothers, and sisters had plenty of talent in that regard. As of now, only his mother had reached Silver Level 3. In time, his siblings would reach the Silver stage as well. When that day came, Joey's own strength would rise like a rocket. His strength would be the sum of all his family members after all. And for him, mastering power wasn't as important as understanding people, their minds, their motivations, their hearts. Suddenly, the creak of the door broke his train of thought. Joey walked in, her expression soft but firm. "Brother, why are you still awake?" Joey rubbed his temples and replied, "It's fine. We'll be reaching Fishman Island soon. I'll rest after we get there." Technically, he wasn't wrong. Fishman Island, located just 10 kilometers beneath the surface, wasn't as distant as it seemed. Even with the challenges of navigating the deep sea, the journey wouldn't take more than 2 hours. Joey sighed in exasperation. "Brother, you're always in such a rush. Whatever it is, it can wait. Take things one step at a time." Joey smiled at her concern. "Don't worry. I know my limits." But there were things Joey never shared with his siblings. In less than a century, 86 years to be exact, the portal of the system that had brought him here would open again. And when that happened, the real danger would begin. A real multiverse war. It wasn't something he could ignore. Even if he didn't say it outright, his brothers and sisters weren't fools. They had all noticed how urgent and driven he had become. "Brother." Joey hesitated, her voice soft but probing. "You're hiding something from us, aren't you?" Joey paused, caught off guard. Looking at her serious expression, he eventually replied, "Broy, you don't need to worry about that. Just focus on growing stronger. When the time is right, I'll tell you everything." "How long until then?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Joey sighed but reassured her. "Not too far now. Once land is established, I'll explain everything. For now, it's better you don't know. The weight of it. It's too much." Broy whimpered softly, her childish pout betraying her worry. Joey chuckled and stood, ruffling her hair. "All right, no more fussing. Get some rest. Once we reach Fishman Island, you might not get another chance to relax." "Okay, brother." she murmured, her concern lingering. But just as she turned to leave, Joey's body suddenly trembled violently. He collapsed to the floor, clutching his chest as his breath came in sharp gasps. "Brother!" Broey cried in panic, rushing to his side. "What's wrong? Don't scare me like this." Joey waved weakly, silencing her. "Don't shout. No need to worry, Broey." With her help, he managed to sit on the couch, his forehead glistening with sweat. His heart was pounding erratically, and even his very soul seemed to tremble. And then, a voice. Soft, serene, like the vast, calm ocean itself. "You've returned at last, haven't you? I've waited so long for you. But now, you're finally here. That's all that matters." Joey drifted into unconsciousness, the gentle voice echoing in his ears. Chapter 40, See fans. What was that sound? Who was that? What just happened? Joey muttered these thoughts deep in his mind. However, the overpowering drowsiness took hold, and he fell into a deep sleep. "Big brother?" Broey looked at Joey nervously. Finally, after confirming that he was merely asleep, she exhaled deeply in relief. She was confused. Why had her big brother suddenly collapsed into unconsciousness? Whatever the reason, one thing was clear to Broey: nobody could know about this incident. Otherwise, the entire ship would descend into chaos. In the Charlotte family, anyone could falter, even their mother might fall in battle. But Big Brother? He must remain steadfast. He was their anchor, the unshakable pillar of their family. For everyone aboard, Joey's well-being was critical. The young Broey, despite her age, moved with decisive precision. She ensured everything was handled smoothly. By the time Opera arrived, Broey intercepted him. With a calm smile, she said, "Opera, Big Brother is resting. He's been working far too hard lately, let's let him sleep a while longer." "Huh?" Opera blinked, then nodded. "You're right. From the battles at Elboth's warrior village to Phoenix Island and the Dressrosa Kingdom, Big Brother has been pushing himself. Even though he hasn't been fighting, the mental strain of his work must be exhausting." Opera didn't question her explanation. It made perfect sense. Big Brother wasn't invincible, he deserved some rest like anyone else. Phew. Once Opera left, Broey let out a relieved sigh, her small frame visibly relaxing as she retreated to the study. Meanwhile, Opera took charge of docking the ship at Fishman Island. The vessel reached the harbor and settled in. However, no further moves were made. Night fell, and the crew settled in for a restful sleep. The next morning as the sky brightened, Joey stirred. He massaged his temples as he opened his eyes, slowly taking in the room. His gaze softened when he saw Broey, who had stayed awake all night, reading by the chair. With a gentle smile, Joey said, "Staying up all night? Little girl, you need to rest." "Big Brother." Broey immediately stood, concern etched on her face. "Are you all right?" Joey waved her off. "I'm fine. Yesterday, I just felt something strange." "It's nothing to worry about." Relieved, Broey sighed. "That's good to hear. Big Brother, we've already arrived at Fishman Island." Joey chuckled. "All right, but first, you need rest. Staying awake all night isn't good for you." Before she could protest, Joey scooped her up and gently placed her on the bed in the study. Soon, Broey was sound asleep, her exhaustion finally catching up to her. Joey shook his head fondly. "What a stubborn little girl. Sleep well, you've earned it." After tucking her in, he left the study quietly. On deck, the crew greeted Joey with enthusiasm. Their cheerful calls filled the air as Joey strode out, refreshed and composed. Opera approached him eagerly. "Big Brother. We've arrived at Fishman Island. King Neptune of the Ryugu Kingdom even came to meet us." Joey nodded casually, his mind already turning toward the island's intricate dynamics. Fishman Island. It had two major races that inhabit the sea, fishmen and merfolk, mermaid, merman. It was a chaotic place. Mermaids were incredibly valuable commodities, fetching exorbitant prices. Pirates, human traffickers, the world government, and countless underground factions all converged here. The island's population was vast, numbering nearly 5 million. Among them, the ratio of fishmen to merfolk was roughly 9:1, with fewer than 500,000 merfolk. Despite their smaller numbers and lack of physical strength, the merfolk held higher social status and even ruled the fishmen from the Ryugu Kingdom. It was a curious dynamic. How could a weaker minority dominate the majority? Joey pondered these complexities as he leaned against the ship's railing, gazing at the breathtaking underwater scenery. "I must admit," he said aloud, "Fishman Island's beauty is a rare sight in this vast ocean." "Huh?" Opera looked puzzled for a moment, then his expression turned fierce. "Big Brother, should we just take over the island?" Joey froze, staring at Opera in disbelief. Smack. He gave Opera a firm slap on the head. "Big Brother." Opera clutched his head, looking aggrieved. Joey glared at him. How many times have I told you? We are not pirates. We're future rulers of a nation. A noble family. Understand? We do not act like pirates. Yes, big brother. Opera replied obediently, though he still looked a bit sheepish. Joey sighed heavily. Opera and his 4 brothers were destined to be the kingdom's generals in the future. Yet, sometimes they really lacked common sense. Fishman Island's attitude toward us, how is it? Joey asked, steering the conversation. Opera immediately perked up. Big brother, it's strange. The fishmen aren't hostile toward us at all. In fact, they seem overly enthusiastic? It's almost like they're fans? Joey paused. Fans? Chapter 41, Overwhelming Enthusiasm. To be honest, Joey didn't initially understand the term fans that Opera often used. But now Joey understood perfectly. Sir. This way. Please, this way. Would you like some fruit, my lord? Would you like some water, sir? Mister. Sir. As Joey and Opera made their way toward the Ryugu kingdom, they were practically smothered with attention. At first, it seemed manageable, but things soon escalated. Before they knew it, they were ushered into a carriage that had been prepared for them. Not just that, a mountain of gifts was piled onto the carriage as well. This whole scenario. It was so bizarre that it left Joey bewildered. Finally, they arrived at the gates of the royal palace. Stepping off the carriage, Opera let out a long sigh. Big brother, do you get what I mean now? Opera didn't mind spouting insults or slashing at enemies when needed. If someone crossed them, he'd deal with it decisively. But the sheer overwhelming enthusiasm of the fishmen and merfolk people was something else entirely. It was so over the top that even Opera, who usually thrived in chaos, was at a loss. Yeah. Joey stepped down from the carriage, his expression complicated. It's too much. His voice was calm, but deep inside, he felt like he'd pieced together the reason behind all this. Ever since his arrival at Fishman Island, something had been odd. He'd fainted immediately after arriving. And this? Why was that? Why were the fishmen, who were known to harbor resentment toward humans, showing such genuine warmth? This wasn't fake enthusiasm. It came from their very souls, deeply ingrained in their beings, as if it was a natural instinct to treat him with such reverence. I think I'm starting to understand. But still. This is fascinating. Joey mused for a moment before shaking off his thoughts. Let's go, Opera. Got it, big brother. Opera replied quickly, falling in step behind Joey as they entered the palace. The Ryugu palace was luxurious and extravagant beyond words. It wasn't just wealth, it exuded a sense of nobility and grandeur. From the sheer opulence of the surroundings, it was evident that the fishmen were truly wealthy. There was no denying it. In terms of riches, the fishmen were among the wealthiest in the world. Being located in the deep sea, they had access to countless treasures and rare resources. If it weren't for the constant turmoil and problems plaguing Fishman Island, 30 years of stability would have easily made it the richest nation in the world. Before Joey and Opera could fully take in the palace, King Neptune himself appeared, laughing heartily as he approached. Chief Joey, it's an honor to meet you. Though, for some reason, I feel an inexplicable sense of familiarity. Neptune, known as the Great Knight of the Sea, wasn't particularly powerful, but his dedication to improving Fishman Island was undeniable. Joey greeted him warmly. Hello, King Neptune. But Neptune waved off the pleasantries. No need for formalities. Chief Joey, the banquet is ready. This way, please. Without hesitation, Neptune grabbed Joey's hand and led him further into the palace. Opera watched this scene in silence, feeling an odd mix of disbelief and unease. How could he put it? Neptune's enthusiasm was unsettlingly intense. Regardless, Opera quickened his pace, making sure to stay close to his brother. He wouldn't allow anything to happen to him, not on his watch. Inside the banquet hall, Joey, Opera, and Neptune were joined by several key figures, the left minister, the right minister, Neptune's wife Queen Atoheim, and even a crimson-skinned teenage fishman. It was Fisher Tiger. To put it simply, every major figure of Fishman Island and the Ryugu Kingdom was present. Neptune, the left and right ministers, they were the pillars of the royal government. As for Atoheim and Fisher Tiger, they were the spiritual leaders of the entire island. Atoheim, revered by all, was a beacon of hope. Fisher Tiger, on the other hand, had brought order to the once chaotic Fishman people. If these two hadn't met their tragic fates, Fishman Island would undoubtedly have become a powerful nation by the time of the original story. For a country to truly thrive, it needed united leadership and shared ideals, and Atoheim and Tiger embodied both. Joey scanned the room, taking note of everyone present. Neptune raised his glass and said loudly, a toast to Chief Joey and Mr. Opera's arrival. Cheers. 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 Everyone raised their glasses and drank. As they set their glasses down, Tiger didn't hold back. "Chief Joey, I assume your visit has a purpose." "Let's hear it." Joey smiled. "Since Mr. Tiger has brought it up, I'll get straight to the point. The Charlotte family wishes to cooperate with you. My mother's dream is to create a utopia where all races can live together in harmony, Todo Land." He paused, letting the words sink in before continuing. "So, I propose a deal with the Ryugu Kingdom. We'd like to arrange for some fishmen and merfolk to immigrate to a safe island where they can live under the sun, free and equal." Joey could feel the collective intake of breath from everyone in the room. Their emotions were raw and unrestrained. This wasn't just excitement, it was the embodiment of a lifelong yearning. Joey realized he had underestimated just how deeply the people of Ryugu Kingdom longed for life under the sun and equal treatment. To them, Joey's proposal wasn't just a simple offer, it was the dream they had been striving toward for generations. Neptune didn't hesitate for a second before agreeing. At this moment, Atoheim's gentle voice broke the silence. "Chief Joey, your proposal is indeed exciting, but since this is a deal, what will we gain in return?" Joey noticed her voice trembling slightly, a reflection of how much this meant to her. A smile tugged at his lips. He already knew the deal was as good as sealed. Chapter 42, The Fifth Stop. The ship set sail once again. Joey and his crew departed from Fishman Island. To be honest, the entire transaction had gone far too smoothly. King Neptune had made a bold declaration. He had promised to select over 1 million fishmen and 100,000 merfolk to participate. So amazing. To put it plainly, Joey was utterly shocked by the sheer magnitude of it all, nearly losing his composure. Fortunately, years of discipline and experience helped him maintain his calm demeanor. After all, he had worked tirelessly to recruit tens of thousands of Tontida, forced 10,000 giants into joining, and purchased members of the Beastmen and Dwarven races. Altogether, he had barely scraped together 40,000 people. And yet Neptune, with a single statement, had pledged 1.1 million citizens. Honestly speaking, Joey held these non-human races in even higher regard. They were invaluable as future warriors. Just think, 1 million fishmen, each with physical strength 10 times that of an average human. And if at least 10,000 merfolk flourished over time, the resulting population could form a powerful race. To sum it up, Joey had hit the jackpot this time. Watching the ship sail away, Tiger scratched his head and asked Neptune, "Your Majesty, I understand your reasoning, but isn't it a bit much? Just the protection of the Big Mom pirates doesn't seem enough to warrant such a massive contribution, does it?" He. The minister of the left chuckled. "Tiger, merely having strength isn't enough, you also need knowledge. This arrangement? Regardless of the outcome, the Ryugu Kingdom can't lose. If it succeeds, Fishman Island might one day openly move to the surface world." The minister of the right nodded in agreement. "And if it fails? Well, if the Charlotte family collapses, we'll have lost nothing in the process." "I see." Tiger murmured with newfound understanding. Neptune added, "All right, let's not dwell on it anymore. Tiger, begin selecting 1 million fishmen. Atoheim, you'll handle the selection of 100,000 merfolk. Make it voluntary." "Understood." "All right." Both Atoheim and Tiger nodded. Meanwhile, Neptune squinted slightly, recalling the private conversation he'd had with Joey. He mused silently, the World Summit. 2 years from now. Chief Joey, don't let me down. If you can truly achieve what you claim, I won't hesitate to place all my bets on you. Shaking his head, Neptune put the matter aside. Time would reveal the truth. Elsewhere, aboard the ship. As the vessel continued its journey, breaking through the waters toward the surface world, Broe blinked in disbelief. "April, you're joking, right?" Her expression was one of utter incredulity, as though her brother was playing a prank. "Since when were transactions this easy? 1 million fishmen and 100,000 merfolk? Fishmen, with physical prowess 10 times that of humans. And the merfolk? Even more extraordinary, each of them stunningly beautiful. And they just handed them over?" Appa rolled his eyes. "Why would I lie? Honestly, I feel like I'm the one being tricked. When did such things become so simple?" No matter how he looked at it, Appa was utterly baffled. Inside the ship's study, Joey was meticulously documenting intelligence reports. Before him was a large map, dotted with countless islands. Squinting at the map, Joey made careful notes. "This sea region," Joey murmured thoughtfully, 50 islands are far too many, there's no need for that many. Some need to be eliminated, and their locations reorganized." With that, he began sketching and planning. Joey was genuinely engrossed in his work. Soon enough, he had finished most of the adjustments. Leaning back, he exhaled deeply. Phew. By the time he was done, he had reduced the area to 36 islands, centered around a single black dot on the map. Rubbing his temples, he mused, this will have to do for now. Given my current resources, I can only afford to develop part of it. Joey set the project aside for the moment and shifted his focus to the next step of his plans. In his mind, he had mapped out a route starting from Elboff, then to Dressrosa, Fishman Island, and finally Ala Vista. However, the discovery of the Phoenix fruit had necessitated a detour to Phoenix Island. Looking at the world map, Joey smiled faintly and declared, the next target is Ala Vista. BRBR. The family emblem communicator suddenly buzzed. Joey answered, Prospero, what is it? Prospero's voice came through the line, Big bro. The Tontitas have been settled on that island. I've also brought in a team of craftsmen to begin construction. Following your instructions, we're using the Tontitas produced greenery to create a forest city, with separate underground and above-the-ground sections. Hearing this report, Joey smiled. Prospero, your handling of these matters has been excellent. He Prospero chuckled. Big bro, don't flatter me too much. Oh, by the way, I've received some news. The call ended abruptly. Joey's lips curled into a smirk. It seems the fifth stop will be Sabati Archipelago. Chapter 43, Sabati Archipelago. The Yarukiman mangrove trees stood tall, the largest red tree in the world. Its massive roots, exposed above the surface, formed new, giant trees of their own. These roots and trees created a total of 79 separate islands, collectively known as the Sabati Archipelago. In truth, the Sabati Archipelago was under the rule of the Celestial Dragons. Because of this, despite the presence of a marine base, the archipelago was a chaotic hub for pirates, human traffickers, bounty hunters, underground organizations, and representatives from various nations. Essentially, it was a lawless region, though not officially declared as such. The Marines, supposedly protectors of justice, were, at their core, nothing more than loyal dogs to the Celestial Dragons. They dared not offend their masters by interfering too much on the archipelago. Moreover, one of the two main routes to the New World passed through here. Pirates needed to coat their ships at Sabati before heading to Fishman Island and ultimately crossing into the New World. This made Sabati the busiest intersection of the Grand Line, bustling with trade and activity on an almost unimaginable scale. However, it wasn't the only trade hub. On the other side of the New World stood Hikinazu, the island that served as the birthplace of the Rocks pirates. It had transformed from chaos into a realm of organized control under the Rocks pirates, eventually becoming the largest trading center in the New World. Tap. 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 The sound of footsteps echoed as a group made their way through the lively streets of the archipelago. The atmosphere was electric, with people everywhere enjoying the crowded excitement. Among the group, the younger girls, Custard, Angel, and Brule, were thoroughly enjoying themselves, captivated by the festive energy of Sabati. Of course, there was no need to worry. Cadenza and Cabaletta were keeping a watchful eye on them, ensuring no one dared make any foolish moves. Meanwhile, Broe, though tempted to join in the fun, pretended to act mature, putting on a facade of seriousness. Her brothers, Opera, Counter, and Gala, couldn't help but chuckle at her efforts. Humphrey. Broe puffed her cheeks in frustration. Opera, Counter, Gala, are you laughing at me? Of course not. The trio exclaimed in unison, shaking their heads vehemently. Teasing their sister was all in good fun, but none of them would dare risk their lives. After all, if their older brother, Kitakuri, found out, he'd likely knock their heads clean off. Kitakuri doted on his siblings, but the younger ones? Even more, they were absolutely untouchable. Joey, watching his siblings interact, chuckled softly. Alright. Settle down. Broe, if you want to go play, just go. It's no big deal. Counter, Gala, you two follow and keep an eye on the girls. Got it. The brothers said in unison. Broe's frustration instantly turned to Joey. She jumped up to give Joey a big kiss on the cheek before running off to join her friends. At the end of the day, she was still just a child at heart. Counter and Gala quickly followed after, leaving Opera scratching his head as he turned to Joey. Big brother, why did we suddenly come to the Sabati Archipelago? Wasn't our next destination supposed to be the kingdom of Alabista? It was a valid question. 2 months had passed since they'd begun their journey. Time was of the essence, especially with the looming threat of the God Valley War, a pivotal event that Joey had no intention of missing. The God Valley War was a golden opportunity, one that promised immense rewards if handled correctly. Joey responded calmly, we're here for an auction. Prospero informed me that a devil fruit we need will be up for sale. Opera immediately understood, nodding. Got it, big brother. Some things were better left unsaid. The wrong people overhearing the wrong words could lead to complications. The 5 brothers each had their own distinct personalities. Opera was arrogant but possessed both intelligence and bravery. Counter was hot-headed but had the sense to think critically when it mattered. Cadenza was calm and loyal to a fault. Cabaletta was. Well, he was just a lovable fool. Gala was mature and balanced, neither exceptionally clever nor overly bold, but always reliable. Together, their unique traits complemented each other perfectly. Cadenza kept Counter and Cabaletta in check, while Gala ensured Opera didn't get out of hand. "All right," Joey said, his tone light. "Don't think too hard about it. Just relax. We've been pushing ourselves pretty hard lately. Take today to rest and enjoy the archipelago." "Ha ha ha. Sure thing, big brother." Opera laughed, though his sharp eyes scanned the surroundings for any potential threats. Protecting his older brother was always his top priority. Joey, seeing his siblings so vigilant, shook his head with a smile. After a day of fun and exploration, the group found themselves in a cozy bar, enjoying fine wine and delicious food. The younger girls were happily indulging in sweets and snacks. Even Ikangakubo Momo had joined the group. Her inclusion had caused quite a stir within the family. In the end, her culinary skills, which she'd passed on to a new generation of students over the last decade, had narrowly saved her from becoming a source of conflict. Otherwise, the dessert-loving Charlotte family would have accepted her. Celestial dragons. Quick. Move aside. Make way. The commotion outside drew everyone's attention. Joey's sharp eyes narrowed as he pondered aloud, "It seems the celestial dragons have arrived." Sure enough, a male celestial dragon soon appeared, strutting arrogantly down the street. "Cadenza," Joey said, his tone calm yet commanding. "How many celestial dragons are on the Sabati archipelago right now?" Cadenza, ever efficient, replied in a low voice, "Big brother, there's only one at the moment. His name is Zwart. He is here to attend tomorrow night's auction." Joey's gaze turned thoughtful as he observed the fading sunlight. A faint smile played on his lips as he murmured, "Ah, yes. A perfect day for doing good deeds." Hearing these words, Opera and the other brothers straightened, their expressions turning serious. They nodded in unison, understanding exactly what their older brother intended. Chapter 44, Killed Celestial Dragon. Drip. Drip. The sound of blood dripping onto the floor echoed eerily, painting a grim picture of the events that had unfolded. Steelbone Kong, one of the 3 admirals of the Navy headquarters, stood frozen. His arms trembled slightly as he surveyed the scene before him. A celestial dragon was killed. This wasn't just a crime, it was a world-shaking incident. Regardless of the era, the celestial dragons, as the self-proclaimed nobility of the world, wielded unimaginable privilege and authority. And yet, here lay one of them, lifeless. Taking a deep breath to calm himself, Kong's expression grew dark. "Seal off the entire estate. Investigate every inch, take stock of all assets, and find survivors, if there are any. Move quickly," he commanded sharply. "Yes, sir." The soldiers sprang into action, scouring the castle for clues. Kong muttered to himself, who could have done this? To dare lay a hand on a celestial dragon. A soldier soon returned with a report, his expression grave. "Admiral Kong, we've completed the sweep. There are no survivors in the entire castle. From the top staff to the CP agents, everyone has been eliminated. Each was killed with a single, precise strike. The weapon used appears to be a blade. None of the valuables in the castle were taken. The assailant's sole objective was clearly to kill the celestial dragon." Kong gritted his teeth, his mind racing. "And what about surveillance footage or recordings from the Dendenmushi network?" "All destroyed," the soldier admitted grimly. "There's no evidence left behind. It's as if the perpetrator vanished into thin air. Apart from the bodies, there's no trace of them anywhere in the castle." Another soldier added, "Sir, based on the thoroughness of the act, the attack was clearly premeditated. The perpetrators planned everything to ensure there were no loose ends." Kong nodded slowly, his expression turning even darker. His initial assumption had been a robbery. After all, the wealth of the celestial dragons could tempt even the most cautious criminals. But this wasn't about greed. This was a targeted assassination. As the reality of the situation set in, Kong barked, "Round up everyone. Detain every suspicious individual or group on the Sabati archipelago. Anyone acting out of line, I want them in custody." "Yes, sir." The soldiers mobilized, beginning their sweep under the cover of the starry night. Kong retreated to his office, poring over the reports in frustration. His thoughts churned until a name came to mind. Charlotte Joey. He narrowed his eyes. The head of the Charlotte family had arrived at the Sabati archipelago earlier that day. And by nightfall, the celestial dragon had been killed. It was no coincidence. Still, this was no ordinary man. Joey's position wasn't one that even the Navy could challenge lightly. Kong realized he had no choice but to confront the man himself. Late evening, Sabati archipelago. In a traditional room illuminated by warm lamplight, a woman silently poured tea for a calm, composed Joey. He sipped the steaming beverage leisurely, savoring its bitter aroma. Unlike alcohol, which dulled the senses, tea sharpened the mind, something he greatly preferred. The rhythmic sound of hurried footsteps shattered the tranquil atmosphere. The door slid open abruptly, and Steel Bone Kong strode in, his gaze sharp and piercing. "Charlotte Joey." Kong began coldly, "The Navy suspects you, Admiral Kong." Joey interrupted with a calm smile, "Choose your words carefully. Are you implying that an admiral can accuse anyone without a need of evidence?" Kong's words froze in his throat. His expression darkened as he observed the man before him. Joey's unflappable demeanor only deepened his suspicions. Zwart, the slain celestial dragon, had almost certainly died by Joey's hand. Kong had no doubt about that. Yet, as Joey had pointed out, there wasn't a shred of evidence to support the claim. If it had been anyone else, Kong would have arrested them on the spot, evidence be damned. After all, Joey's mother and siblings were pirates. But Joey himself was no ordinary pirate. Through the genetic, gene, fruit, Joey's influence reached far beyond his title as head of the Charlotte family. Should anything happen to him, Kong's own position as admiral would be at risk. The Navy's funding could be slashed, and they would face backlash from numerous nations that relied on the Charlotte family's contributions to peacekeeping and trade. Inhaling deeply, Kong's voice was icy but restrained. "Mr. Joey, you seem rather uninterested in the events that transpired tonight." Joey chuckled, setting his teacup down. "Admiral Kong, I've already said, I know nothing about what happened. But if you wish to arrest me, you'd better bring evidence. Otherwise, I doubt you'll hold on to your position much longer." The casual way Joey delivered the veiled threat sent a chill through the room. His smile remained, unperturbed by the fact that he was speaking to an admiral. Behind Kong, the Navy soldiers burned with rage, itching to speak out. But the rear admiral accompanying Kong silenced them with a gesture. They couldn't afford to provoke this man. Kong, suppressing his frustration, forced a smile. "Very well, Mr. Joey. But I'd advise you to be careful. The Sabati archipelago isn't safe." Joey's smile widened slightly. "I appreciate your concern, Admiral. But I have capable brothers who can ensure the safety of someone as fragile as myself." The unspoken dismissal hung heavy in the air. Recognizing the futility of further conversation, Kong turned on his heel and left. His soldiers followed, their anger barely contained. As the door slid shut, Joey's serene expression remained unchanged. He poured himself another cup of tea and took a slow, deliberate sip. In his mind, his plan had only just begun. Chapter 45, Cat Fruit, Mythical Zone, Sphinx Form Big Brother. What's going on outside? Who is standing outside like an idiot? Opera, don't be curious. It has nothing to do with us. Our only goal is the auction tonight. Understood, Big Brother. The conversation between Joey and Opera echoed faintly. Standing outside the house, Kong clenched his teeth in frustration. It was clear. Joey had already anticipated his arrival and taken precautions. Monitoring someone like Joey wasn't going to be easy. In such a situation. Trying to catch Joey slipping through a careless word? Keep dreaming. The Vice Admiral standing beside Kong sighed. "Sir Kong, finding evidence against this man is proving to be exceedingly difficult." Kong took a deep breath, forcing himself to stay composed. "This doesn't surprise me. At just 14 years old, as the head of the Charlotte family, he's managed to establish trade networks spanning the entire world. Sure, he has the hidden support of Charlotte Lilin, but his own abilities are nothing short of remarkable." "Indeed." The Vice Admiral nodded gravely. "From what we can tell, the one responsible for killing the Celestial Dragon is undoubtedly this man. However, we have no solid evidence." Kong interrupted with a bitter smile. "Fine. Pass down the order, frame this on one of the infamous pirates with a bounty exceeding 2 billion Baileys." "Understood." The Vice Admiral left to carry out the order. Kong rubbed his temples, visibly stressed. There was no other choice. Joey's status and influence were undeniable. It was akin to dealing with an underground emperor. Someone like Stussy might be able to covertly eliminate an underground boss, but never openly. Otherwise, the countries that relied on the underground economy would exert immense pressure on the world government. "You took down him today? What about tomorrow? Will it be us?" Some things were just like a fragile paper window. You could operate behind the scenes, but breaking through that thin paper would cause chaos. With no way to implicate Joey directly, Kong had no choice but to seek a scapegoat. In any case. That was the best he could do. The news of the Celestial Dragon's death had already been suppressed. As long as there wasn't widespread panic, the matter could be left for the 5 elders to handle. The day passed swiftly. The 5 Opera brothers took the 4 young girls out for some fun, leaving Joey alone at their temporary base. But Joey wasn't concerned in the slightest. After a moment of thought, He opened his communication panel and sent a private message. Charlotte Patriarch, have you made your decision? 3 devil fruits is already a generous offer, Joestar Patriarch, I'm still considering it. But 3 devil fruits is a bit too low, Charlotte Patriarch, take your time. I don't lack the means to secure this power, Joestar Patriarch, Joey smirked at the non-reply. This transaction intrigued him. After all, it was the Joestar family from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Still, whether it succeeded or not wasn't a major concern. If it went through, great. If not, it was no skin off his back. Big brother. We're back. The 4 young girls burst into the room with happy energy. Joey smiled warmly. Did you have fun? Yes. The girls nodded enthusiastically, their smiles pure and unrestrained. Joey chuckled, his tone gentle. Make sure you don't cause trouble tonight. Get a good rest, I'm heading to the auction. Okay. They all nodded obediently, their innocence softening the room's atmosphere. Joey rose to his feet, and the maids around him immediately began assisting him with his attire, ensuring every detail was flawless. Then, he turned to 2 of his brothers. Cadenza, Cabaletta, you 2 will accompany me to the auction. Opera, Counter, and Gala, the other 2 brothers, grew tense immediately. Joey waved off their concern with a smile. What's got you all so worked up? I'm the head of the Charlotte family. We're part of the Charlotte lineage. Who, aside from pirates, would dare make a move against us so recklessly? The brothers exchanged glances, then nodded silently. Taking Cadenza and Cabaletta along, Joey set off for the auction in Area 13. The auction in Area 13. When Joey arrived at the auction house, he naturally didn't take the public entrance. His status granted him access to the VIP route, which led directly to a private suite. Soon, Joey was handed a catalog of the items available. With the right price, he could even purchase an item outright before the auction began. Such were the perks of power. Of course, Joey wasn't yet at a level where everything bent to his will. Otherwise, why bother with such elaborate processes? Looking through the catalog, Joey's eyes glinted with interest. Turning to one of the beautiful attendants beside him, he asked with a faint smile, Little miss, the cat fruit, mythical zone, Sphinx form, it starts at 1 billion Baileys. How much do you think I'll need to secure it? The maid froze momentarily, stunned by the question. At that moment, Cabaletta's expression shifted as well. Now, he understood. This was why his big brother had brought him along, and why they had suddenly detoured to the Sabati archipelago. Here lay the perfect devil fruit for him. The maid regained her composure and bowed respectfully. Patriarch Joey, that decision is beyond me. I'll need to consult with our manager. Go ahead. Joey replied with a nod. Yes, sir. The maid left to deliver the message, while other attendants immediately approached, ensuring everything was arranged for Joey's comfort. They even began skillfully massaging him. Big brother. Once they were alone, Cabaletta leaned in excitedly, unable to contain his anticipation. Joey glanced at him and chuckled. Look at you, acting like a kitten eyeing its first bowl of milk. Calm yourself, you impulsive brat. Ha ha ha. Cabaletta scratched the back of his head sheepishly, but his grin revealed just how much his brother's words had thrilled him. Chapter 46, The Sixth Stop, The Kingdom of Alabasta. Soon, a knock sounded at the door, and the auction house manager stepped inside. Bowing slightly with a polite smile, the manager said, Lord Joey, are you planning to purchase the Sphinx Zone Devil Fruit? Joey smiled and replied, Of course. Name your price. If it's reasonable, I'll take it right now. Frankly, I'm not too interested in the other items. The manager chuckled softly. As expected of Lord Joey. Very well, the price will be 5 billion Baileys. On the black market, the Opop fruit goes for that amount, and the rarity of a mythical zone is comparable. Joey nodded without hesitation. That works. Send someone to Whole Cake Island to retrieve the payment. Certainly. The manager clapped his hands, and a guard entered carrying a treasure chest. Placing it before Joey, the guard opened the chest to reveal its contents. Joey glanced at it and then called out, Cabaletta. Cabaletta's grin stretched wide. I'm on it, big brother. He stepped forward and, without the slightest hesitation, began devouring the whole devil fruit. Its infamous, disgusting taste didn't faze him in the slightest. The manager's eye twitched at the sight. What a savage. Watching someone gulp down the disgusting devil fruit as if it were nothing was an experience he wasn't sure how to process. Roar. A deep growl erupted from Cabaletta as the transformation began. His head retained its original human shape but now bore markings reminiscent of ancient Egyptian adornments. His body, however, underwent a dramatic change, growing rapidly until he towered at a height of 5 meters. Thankfully, the room had been specially designed to accommodate such transformations. Cabaletta's body morphed into the shape of a monstrous lion with a powerful, radiant aura. His glowing eyes carried a fierce intensity that sent chills down spines. The same as the Great Sphinx of Giza. Gradually, however, he suppressed his raging energy, calming himself and looked at Joey. He grinned, sharp teeth flashing. "Big brother." Joey smirked. "Cabaletta, don't scare the manager anymore." "Got it, big brother." Cabaletta replied as he shifted back into his human form, rolling his shoulders and stretching his newly enhanced body. Even without fully testing the fruit's abilities, the transformation had already resulted in significant physical improvements. Cabaletta's overall strength skyrocketed from bronze level 3 to bronze level 6 in an instant. Now, all four brothers, Opera, Counter, Gala, and Cabaletta, stood at the same power level. Only Cadenza remained without a devil fruit. However, Joey had already made arrangements for Cadenza. The fruit meant for him had been located in the North Blue. Coincidentally, that was their next destination. Getting what he wanted, Joey said, "It's time for us to leave." The manager bowed respectfully. "Safe travels, Lord Joey." The entire auction process had taken less than 30 minutes, and Joey departed with exactly what he wanted. This was the privilege of power. The next day, the group's ship departed the Sabati archipelago. "Cabaletta," Joey said sternly, "get a proper grasp of your new devil fruit powers. I don't want to see you in battle unable to use even a fraction of your full strength." "Ha ha ha." Cabaletta scratched his head awkwardly, embarrassed but understanding. "Got it, big brother. Don't worry, I'll figure it out." Joey turned to Cadenza and said, "Cadenza, keep an eye on this troublemaker." Cadenza saluted, his expression serious. "Don't worry, big brother. Leave it to me." Satisfied, Joey nodded. Among his 5 younger brothers, Cabaletta was the only one with a short temper and a tendency to slack off. Without proper discipline, he could easily become lazy. After making his arrangements, Joey began to ponder aloud. "The devil fruit for Cadenza is in the North Blue. Based on our intel, it's not far from our next destination. But for now, we need to take care of matters in Alabasta." Cadenza's fruit, like the others, had to be something exceptional. For Joey, it was non-negotiable, it had to be a mythical zone. Yet finding such fruits was no simple task. Some, like the Azure Dragon, Yamata no Orochi, and Phoenix fruits, were known and could be tracked. Others, like the Sphinx fruit, were matters of pure luck. It had taken Joey 10 years of effort just to find suitable fruits for his brothers. As Joey contemplated, Broly approached him. "Big brother, what's on your mind?" Joey shook his head. "Nothing serious. I was just thinking about Cadenza's fruit." Broly chuckled. "Big brother, I'm sure Cadenza isn't in a hurry." "I know that," Joey said with a smile, "but as his older brother, it's my responsibility to prepare everything for him. Once we handle the situation in Alabasta, we'll set course for the North Blue." Broly tilted her head in thought. "Alabasta, huh? Big brother, are you sure the world government won't secretly intervene in this?" Joey smirked. "You still don't get it, do you, little one? Some nations pose a threat to the world government's authority. If something happens to them, the world government might be more than happy to look the other way. The Kingdom of Alabasta, a legendary superpower, wealthy beyond imagination. Joey had plans to collaborate with them, but their unique status made coercion impossible. Navigating these waters required delicate strategies and subtlety. Thus, Joey decided to take an unusual approach. Chapter 47, 10 Nations Attacking Alabasta Sandy Island. The Alabasta Kingdom stood as a unique anomaly in the world. Long ago, 20 nations came together to establish the world government, with the royal families of 19 of those nations ascending to the status of celestial dragons. However, the royal family of the Alabasta Kingdom, the Nefertari lineage, chose a different path. Instead of moving to the Red Line to join the celestial dragons, they remained in their homeland. This decision earned the kingdom a unique status. As a result, the world government had always extended exceptional support to Alabasta, leading to its immense wealth and influence. By now, the nations surrounding Alabasta were obeying the Nefertari lineage. These nations had grown in number to 15 states, a staggering figure that posed a threat to the world government itself because of their domination on this part of the sea. World government wanted to take actions. Otherwise, how could someone like Crocodile, a warlord of the sea, trying to take control of Alabasta without the 5 elders knowing? The 5 elders were undoubtedly aware but turned a blind eye. It was for this very reason that Joey knew a straightforward transaction with Alabasta would be impossible. The kingdom lacked neither wealth nor manpower, and its privileged position under the world government's protection made it untouchable. Any overt actions against Alabasta would attract immediate retaliation from the Marines. Thus, Alabasta had little reason to fear him, or anyone else. But a smirk spread across Joey's face. Power is a deadly poison. Under its influence, Some will lose their minds. Can they withstand such madness? His expression grew more amused, the flicker of a dangerous plan glinting in his eyes. Surrounding the island, 10 smaller nations, all the loyal allied nations of Alabasta, stood as potential pawns. Each of these nations was rich in mineral resources and paid annual tributes to Alabasta. But what if these nations, emboldened and secretly strengthened by a benefactor, decided they no longer wanted to live under Alabasta's shadow? The answer was obvious. The door to the room creaked open, and 10 figures entered, each vastly different in appearance, tall and short, lean and stout, old and young, men and women alike. Yet they all shared one commonality: they were kings of the nations subservient to Alabasta. The old king is nearing his end, and his successor is just a boy, a disgraceful one at that. I've heard the brat disbanded the kingdom's elite 300,000-strong army, sending them to assist civilians across the land. Such a fool has no right to govern Alabasta. It's time to act. Agreed. Thus, war was ignited. With someone pulling the strings behind the scenes, the 10 kings' ambitions burst into flames. Following the old king's death, the once mighty Alabasta military had been reduced. The elite 300,000 soldiers were disbanded, leaving only 600,000 regular troops. Meanwhile, the 10 allied nations assembled an army of 1 million and launched a full-scale invasion. Charge. For wealth. For glory. For future. The sounds of war erupted as the invaders descended upon Alabasta. In just 3 days, the kingdom found itself losing ground at an alarming pace. Not only was the numerical difference overwhelming, but the sheer audacity of 10 nations launching simultaneous attacks had caught Alabasta entirely unprepared. Alabasta's royal palace, Alubarna. In the grand throne room, King Nefertari Cobra sat in silence, his young face marred with frustration and uncertainty. Around him, dozens of ministers anxiously deliberated. Your Majesty. One of them pleaded, you must issue a royal decree to recall the 300,000 elite troops. Without them, we stand no chance. Another minister laughed bitterly. It's already too late. The invaders have specifically targeted the 5 cities where those troops were stationed. Positioned near the borders, those cities have already fallen. A heavy silence filled the room. If what he said was true, summoning the elite troops back was no longer an option. Without them, Alabasta's remaining forces, merely 600,000 strong, could not hold back the invaders. Massaging his temples, Cobra asked, have we managed to send word for help? Captain Igaram of the Royal Guard shook his head. Your Majesty, all routes to the sea have been blocked. The enemy's million-strong army has cut off every possible escape path. And there was one more thing Cobra hadn't said aloud. Even the help requests from Den Mushy lines weren't getting any response. The world government had no intention of intervening in a situation like this. As long as the conflict didn't develop openly, they'd look the other way, unwilling to help. After all, the 5 elders wouldn't allow Alabasta to be completely destroyed. But they also wouldn't let it remain this strong. Damn it. The ministers erupted into furious curses. They were elite players in the dirty game of politics and could easily see through the situation. The world government had effectively abandoned them. Ha! Cobra sighed heavily. He had never imagined that his policies of compassion and reform, aimed at fostering peace, would result in this betrayal from their loyal allied nations. Your Majesty. Another minister interjected, even if we can't send for help, the allied nations who remain loyal to us might hesitate to come to our aid. Without action from the world government, they'll have their own positions to consider. Power, as always, was a never-shifting force. Under its influence, alliances and loyalties held no permanence. When Alabasta was at its peak, its allies sang its praises. But now, as it faltered, those same allies hesitated, calculating their own interests. This was the true face of power, a force as terrifying as it was merciless. Chapter 48, To have a choice, you need to have power. Listening to the endless arguments of his ministers, Cobra raised his hand and said, enough. Leave me for now. I will think about how to handle this. Yes, Your Majesty. The ministers exchanged uneasy glances, but in the end, they obeyed and exited the room. As they left, Igaram, the captain of the Royal Guard, hesitated before speaking. Your Majesty. Cobra interrupted, Igaram, you should leave as well. I need some time alone to think. Understood. Igaram, though reluctant, complied. Having grown up alongside Cobra, he understood the king's heart better than anyone. Cobra was a ruler who loved his people as his own children. But precisely because of his compassion, this crisis weighed on him unbearably. His kindness had inadvertently created this predicament, and now he was trapped. The kingdom of Alabasta was besieged, their cries for aid unheard. Alone in his chamber, Cobra's thoughts churned with regret and frustration. Suddenly, the shrill ringing of a Den Mushy broke the silence. Brr, Cobra's head snapped up. What's this? His eyes fell on a den mushi he hadn't used in years, one connected to the underworld. He had once considered it unnecessary, believing his reign wouldn't require dealings with such forces. Yet here it was, buzzing insistently. After a moment of hesitation, Cobra picked it up and answered. Hey hey hey. A faint chuckle echoed through the line, followed by a calm yet chilling voice. King Cobra, I see you've decided to answer. Cobra's face darkened. Who are you? What do you want? The voice belonged to someone Cobra couldn't immediately identify. This den mushi was connected to numerous underworld factions, making it impossible to pinpoint who was speaking. The mysterious voice continued with a faint smile. Who I am doesn't matter right now. What matters is this: do you want to save Alabasta? I can help you. Tonight, come alone to the Scarlet Ruins. If you want your kingdom to survive without becoming a puppet, this is your only chance. Burrow. The line went dead. Cobra stared at the den mushi in silence, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. Scarlet Ruins. Once a bustling city, now nothing but ruins, swallowed by the unforgiving sands of the desert. It lay west of Alubarna, the capital, abandoned long ago. Meanwhile, at the ruins, a figure stood amidst the crumbling buildings. Joey, hands clasped behind his back, gazed out at the desolate landscape. Behind him, Broy asked cautiously, Big brother, are you certain Cobra will come? Joey replied warmly, Broy, whether a king is benevolent or ambitious, do you think they'd willingly let their kingdom become a puppet? Broy nodded slowly, beginning to understand. Such was the nature of humanity. Joey smirked, toying with a deck of cards in his hand. Cobra. Don't disappoint me. Nearby, Cabaletta manipulated the sands, honing his devil fruit abilities. The powers of mythical zone fruits were uniquely complex. For instance, the azure dragon fruit could breathe fire, summon fierce winds, unleash thunderous roars, and even generate flame clouds. The phoenix fruit, in contrast, was simpler, granting near mortality by rendering attacks ineffective, though its widespread usage drained stamina significantly. The Yamato no Orochi fruit allowed for regeneration akin to resurrection. Unless all 8 heads were severed at once, the user could recover indefinitely. Then there was the Sphinx fruit. Its abilities were peculiar. It could control sand but not create it, a limitation that was frustrating at times. Joey observed Cabaletta's training thoughtfully, musing to himself, if I can acquire the sand fruit model, sand human devil fruit, it would perfectly complement Cabaletta's abilities. Lost in his thoughts, Joey waited. As the night deepened and the ruins grew colder, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed through the silence. Huff. Huff. Breathing heavily, King Cobra arrived at the ruins. Spotting the faint light emanating from the remains of a castle, he quickened his pace. The doors creaked open. Cobra froze, staring in shock at the man before him. The head of the Charlotte family? Joey smiled calmly. Yes, that's me. But who I am doesn't matter, King Cobra. What matters is that I can help you. Cobra's heart tightened. Help. That single word was both a lifeline and a heavy burden. Joey continued, his smile never wavering. You need my help, don't you? Alabasta is crumbling, and I am your only hope. Cobra, a compassionate king but no fool, understood immediately. Nothing in this world came free. What do you want in return? Cobra asked warily, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. Joey's eyes gleamed. What I want is simple. Alabasta's decision-making council has 15 nations, with 5 currently watching from the sidelines. If Alabasta survives this crisis, they'll remain loyal to you. Cobra's frown deepened. And? What is it you truly want? Joey's tone turned firm. 2 years from now, I will establish Tato Land, a kingdom of many nations. Your role will be to ensure that Alabasta and 15 other nations approve Tato Land's membership in the world government as a decision-making nation. Additionally, Tato Land will not pay the heavenly tribute. Impossible. Cobra blurted without hesitation. Hey. Joey chuckled darkly. King Cobra, do you truly believe you have the luxury of refusing? Or the time to debate? You have 3 minutes to decide. You should know that to have a choice, you need to have power. Chapter 49, The Berserkorks. The Kingdom of Dressrosa. King Riku. With 11 allied nations under his rule, they together form 12 decision-making nations. The Kingdom of Alabasta. King Cobra. With 15 allied nations under his command, they collectively form 16 decision-making nations. Altogether, the total number of decision-making nations reached 28. And with the Ryugu Kingdom participating in the reverie, the number increased to 29. In other words, as long as Cobra agreed, everything would fall perfectly into place. Cobra looked deeply at Joey, his expression pained, but eventually, he nodded with difficulty. I agree. Joey replied in a calm, light tone, King Cobra, you've made a very good choice. Cobra exhaled heavily, his gaze still locked on Joey. This 14-year-old boy exuded an overwhelming pressure, one that was far beyond ordinary comprehension. It wasn't a joke. Cobra's mind swirled with countless thoughts, yet he knew one thing: while he had agreed, this was far from over. Nothing would simply end here. Shaking his head to clear his thoughts, Cobra's voice steadied. In 2 years, at the next World Conference, I will support your proposal. Joey nodded in satisfaction. Good. With that, Joey tossed a card towards Cobra. Thud. Cobra caught it instinctively. On the card was a depiction of a monstrous, 3-meter-tall creature with towering, muscular frames, razor-sharp fangs, and ominous green skin. Its eyes gleamed crimson, while its body was armored in thick plate mail and wielded massive axes. It was scary. If these creatures were real, they would be an utterly terrifying force on the battlefield. Joey explained softly, crush this card, and you'll gain command of 100,000 berserk-orcs. Oh, and one more thing. He paused and smiled. The berserk-orcs remain constantly in a state of madness, but this here, Joey tossed another small object, which resembled a wireless earpiece, toward Cobra. Cobra caught it, unsure of what to say. This whole situation felt surreal. Too fantastical. Too unbelievable. Joey elaborated, once the card is activated, you'll have an army of 100,000 berserk-orcs at your disposal. While I won't promise they can fight 1 against 100, defeating 20, 30, or even 40 enemies each is completely within reason. They'll sweep your troubles away effortlessly. Cobra, however, wasn't fully convinced and asked warily, how do I know you're not deceiving me? Joey shook his head and replied with a faint smile, King Cobra, do I look like I need to deceive you? Of course, I haven't given you full control. There are 11 total controllers, 1 master controller, which I hold, and 10 subordinate controllers. But don't worry, once the World Conference ends in 2 years, everything will be yours. In that moment, Cobra understood. The Berserk-orc army wasn't just meant to resolve his current troubles, it was also a chain to bind him. If he dared to disobey, the consequences would be obvious. Oh, by the way, Joey added with a mischievous smile, don't issue suicidal commands, such as ordering them to self-destruct. Only the master controller can give such an order. If you try to do it through a subordinate controller, well, the Berserk-orcs will turn against you. Joey stood up with a grin, his tone bright and casual. That concludes our deal, King Cobra. I wish us a happy partnership. Now then, it's time for me to leave. Roar. A thunderous roar echoed as Opera transformed into an enormous azure dragon. With one graceful leap, Joey, Broey, and Cabaletta landed atop Opera's head. In the blink of an eye, the dragon soared into the sky, riding on clouds, and vanished into the horizon. Ha! Cobra sighed as he looked down at the 2 items in his hands. He muttered bitterly, it seems I've been thoroughly outmaneuvered. If I'm not mistaken, the rebellion of those 10 allied nations was orchestrated by the Charlotte family behind the scenes. Cobra wasn't a fool. The situation seemed far too convenient. This was undoubtedly a drama meticulously scripted and directed by Joey himself. Yet Cobra had no choice but to play along. Otherwise the outcome would be far worse. This kind of ploy was as transparent as daylight, but against such open strategies, there was little that could be done. He could only endure. Cobra let out a long, weary sigh before returning to the royal palace. By now, the sky had brightened. Igaram. Cobra called. Igaram hurried over, his voice anxious. Your Majesty. You, Cobra cut him off with a wave of his hand, it's nothing. Summon all the ministers. I've found a solution to end this war. Yes. Though surprised, Igaram quickly complied, bowing respectfully before hurrying off. Cobra glanced once more at the card in his hand, his heart heavy with silence. Roar. Roar. The deafening roars and furious bellows echoed across the battlefield as the 100,000 berserk-orcs split into 10 divisions, each targeting a rebellious nation. Even when faced with enemy armies 10 times their size, 10,000 against 100,000, the odds didn't matter. The physical prowess of a berserk-orc was 20 times that of a regular human. For these specially enhanced berserk-orcs, their strength approached 30 times that of an ordinary man. On top of that, conventional weapons couldn't even pierce their heavy armor. Even if one managed to inflict injuries, the berserk-orcs' rapid regeneration rendered it meaningless. Although the total force numbered only 100,000, they swept through enemy forces of over 1,000,000 as if they were nothing. It was simply too fast. In just 10 days, the war ended. The 10 rebellious nations were utterly destroyed, their cities razed to the ground by Cobra's decisive wrath. And the cost? A mere 3,000 berserk-orcs were heavily injured. Not a single one died. And as long as they didn't die outright, their monstrous regeneration ensured they would recover fully. The war ended as swiftly as it began. But for Cobra. This was only the beginning of another nightmare. Chapter 50, The Last Stop, Germa Kingdom, Charlotte Patriarch. It's indeed a decent weapon, but its use is limited to low-level battles. Shadow Moon Patriarch, Charlotte Patriarch, this weapon. That's about all it can do. After all, it's only worth 100 family coins. Charlotte Patriarch, true. If possible, I'd prefer to buy 10,000 real orcs. Shadow Moon Patriarch, if the Charlotte Patriarch wants to make such a purchase, the price would be at least 20 devil fruits. Their conversation ended there. Joey thought to himself, 20 devil fruits. That's an enormous amount. Though to be fair, it's worth every bit of it. Berserker orcs. Don't assume these are real orcs. In reality, these creatures are magically created beings locked in a constant berserk state, with no potential for further development. As the conversation between Joey and the Shadow Moon Patriarch implied, these berserker orcs are simply low-grade weapons. Both the Skeleton Legion and the berserker orcs are priced at 100 family coins each. This means their essence is not very different. While the berserker orcs might seem terrifying, don't forget that the Skeleton Legion is immortal if you don't have a specific countermeasure. The difference between the two is negligible. On the other hand, purchasing real orcs would be a completely different story. Orcs possess terrifying potential. If properly trained, they might even have the capability to slay gods. Typically, orcs have a baseline potential of level 9 silver, with golden level potential appearing occasionally. These are common traits. Shaking his head, Joey decided not to dwell on the matter further. He shifted his focus to the present and asked, Broey, where are we now? Broey, who had been reading and studying, looked up and answered, Big brother, we've crossed Reverse Mountain and reached the North Blue. Joey nodded, refraining from asking further questions. The atmosphere returned to silence. Joey and Broey both continued reading quietly. Of course, the 5 opera brothers were busy training. Similarly, Custard, Angel, and Brule were undergoing their own training routines. The Charlotte family's progress was undeniable. Every member of the family had to strive for improvement. Now, Joey's 7th stop, the last destination of this trip, was the Germa Kingdom. After nearly 3.5 months of sailing, the journey was finally nearing its end. Opera's voice came from outside the door. Big brother. We've found traces of the Germa Kingdom. Should we head there directly? Joey closed his book and replied, Go straight to the Germa Kingdom and initiate the trade. It's no big deal. Understood. Opera left, while Joey massaged his temples to relax his mind. Ding! At that moment, a private message arrived. Joestar Patriarch, Charlotte Patriarch, for 5 devil fruits, you can take all 3 items. Joey read the message and, after pondering for a moment, replied. Charlotte Patriarch, deal. 5 devil fruits. However, I don't have time for the trade right now. How about 3 days from now? Joestar Patriarch, agreed. A smirk appeared on Joey's face as he muttered, finally, the deal is set. I can't wait to see the results. With my mental strength, what kind of abilities will this bring forth? Hey, chuckling softly, Joey's expression became one of anticipation and excitement. Truth be told, among all the available abilities, this was the one he most desired. Broey asked adorably, Big brother? What's the matter? Joey shook his head. It's nothing. It's nothing. Smiling gently, Joey said warmly, Let's go meet the king of Germa Kingdom. Okay. Broey followed Joey as he stood up. The 2 siblings left the room together. Accompanied by Broey and Opera, Joey disembarked on the island. This was a small island. Looking closely, the island had been transformed into a full-scale military base. Germa Kingdom. Germa 66. Vinsmoke family. All these names referred to the same entity. In essence, this entire nation was a technologically advanced one, and the only country in the world without fixed land. For most, it felt like a legend. But it wasn't a legend. It was very much real, although only the underground world knew much about it. Even without land, the royal family of the Germa Kingdom, the Vinsmoke family, held significant power. They could even participate in the reverie and influence bounty modifications. Just like the world government's 170 allied nations, among the 50 decision-making nations, only a handful truly stood out as powerful. Of these, barely 10 nations could be considered top tier. Apart from Dressrosa and Alabasta, which had a large number of subordinate allies, the rest were just great powers. The Germa Kingdom was one of them. Initially, Joey's sole intention was to develop the Charlotte family into a powerful entity. That alone would have been enough, everything else seemed meaningless. However, his mother's dream was to create a utopia where all races could coexist peacefully. Since this was her wish, Joey naturally felt compelled to help make it a reality. But building a nation wasn't something Joey could take lightly. If he were to establish one, it would have to be terrifyingly powerful, uniquely special, and hold an unshakable position. This was Joey's resolve. To him, the items he traded, valued at a mere 200 family coins or 20 achievement points, weren't anything particularly valuable. They hardly mattered. Moreover, with the idea of building a nation now firmly in mind, Joey's ambitions had grown even more grandiose. Chapter 51, The Easy Deal Ambition. Purpose. Power. Charlotte Joey. This man's character is remarkably twisted. He enjoys going with the flow. Yet, at the same time, when forced to act, he pursues perfection. To some people, the idea is simple: do you really need the world government's approval to build a nation? If you ask him, he'll be blunt: absolutely not. With his own strength, the power of his mother, and the ever-growing talents of his younger siblings, who would dare challenge him? However, that's not Joey's way. It's not in his nature. If he's going to do something, it must be done to the extreme. The Toto land may have been created by his mother, Big Mom, but at its core, it remains a pirate nation. No matter how high it climbs, it will always be looked down upon. Why? The reason is simple: no matter how powerful pirates are, no matter how terrifying, the established nations and the world government never see them as equals. To the world, pirates are merely thieves. Joey, however, envisions a different path for Toto land. It won't just become a member nation recognized by the world government, it will be a decision-making nation, perhaps even one with privileged status among the decision-makers. This is Joey's goal. And this goal? It's just the beginning, a little goal. From Dressrosa to Alabasta, this man has gradually brought 28 nations under his influence. Same as today, he want to get the Germa Kingdom. Fishman Island. Germa Kingdom. Both are powerful nations. Though Fishman Island has long avoided attending the reverie, it isn't due to a lack of qualification. Germa Kingdom is much the same. If these two nations join the conference, others would inevitably be pushed out. Why? It's like a genius who consistently scores over 100 points in a test but chooses not to compete. In their absence, others can claim first place. However, the moment they return, that top position vanishes. This is the crux of the issue. The kingdoms of Alabasta, Dressrosa, Germa, and Fishman Island. When these four powerhouses back a proposal, who would dare oppose it? Even if someone wanted to, they'd have to consider the consequences, potentially resulting in 50 nations agreeing to the proposal. At that point, even the world government couldn't veto it. The written rules must remain unbroken in the public, no matter the circumstances. Alabasta. Dressrosa. Germa. Fishman Island. Joey murmured softly, countless thoughts swirling in his mind. For a moment, it felt as though he had the world in the palm of his hand. Before long, he shook himself from his reverie and said calmly, "Let's go meet the king of Germa." Ha 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 ha. At that moment, a bold laugh rang out, followed by a voice: "Chief Joey, there's no need to trouble yourself. I've come to see you personally." A ship approached swiftly, and a tall man in an opulent cape stepped forward. Joey's smile grew wider as he patiently waited for the man to arrive. Then spoke Judge, the father of Germa's next supreme commander. Judge not only left behind his son but also a host of genetically engineered soldiers designed to serve as his son's subordinates. As Joey recalled the details about this man, he smiled and greeted him warmly. "Mr. Judge, it's a pleasure to meet you." Judge laughed heartily. "Chief Joey, the pleasure is mine. Your visit brings great honor to the Germa Kingdom. But let's cut to the chase. I know why you're here. So, tell me, what can you offer in return?" Truth be told, Judge was genuinely pleased with Joey. Great nations often maintain subtle connections. Riku, Cobra, and Judge had already discussed certain matters among themselves. He. Joey chuckled softly. "I've always preferred dealing with clever people. Since you're so direct, Mr. Judge, let's hear what you have to offer." Judge pondered briefly before replying seriously, 2 years from now, Germa will attend the reverie and support your proposal. Beyond that, I offer you this, a Paramsha-type devil fruit, the healing fruit. As Judge revealed the devil fruit, Joey's interest was immediately piqued. The Paramsha-type heal fruit. This fruit wasn't remarkable for its combat capabilities but for its unparalleled restorative power. It was essentially a team-wide healer, a massive boon for any battle. Joey, who had a borderline obsessive interest in collecting devil fruits, couldn't help but be intrigued. In his collection, he only valued mythical zone fruits, the powerful Logias, and high-tier Paramsha fruits. Mid-tier Paramsha fruits were only considered if they related to sustenance or food. Consequently, his collection remained small: the art fruit, the puff fruit, the heat fruit. All of these were high-tier, even borderline bug-level fruits. Additionally, he had the mirror fruit and the book fruit, though he hadn't yet found suitable users for them. The healing fruit was undoubtedly a top-tier addition. Joey smiled. "And what do you want from me, Mr. Judge?" Judge raised a single finger. "Very simple. Berserk beasts and skeleton soldiers. That will suffice." "Oh?" Joey's curiosity deepened. For a scientific madman like Judge, these peculiar creations were far more valuable than they appeared. This was shaping up to be a fascinating deal. Chapter 52, Green Gemstone Island. The deal was concluded. It was remarkably simple. So simple, it felt almost weird. Honestly, if Joey hadn't witnessed it firsthand, he might not have believed it himself. The title of mad scientist truly fits Judge. For people like him, the idea of new research was like unveiling a treasure chest of unimaginable wonders. The immortality of the skeleton soldier. The raw physical power of the berserk beasts. These things. To Judge, they were as enticing as a lustful man beholding a peerless beauty. It was an obsession, a fascination that could not be resisted. Particularly for the Vinsmoke family, experts in genetic science. In truth, the Vinsmoke family had already collected the genetic codes of various races from around the world. Now, the skeleton soldier and berserk beasts presented an entirely new genetic structure. This was a breakthrough capable of transforming their research. For Judge, an agreement and a devil fruit were a small price to pay. Joey toyed with the heal fruit in his hand, remarking, "Honestly, this was one of the easiest deals I've ever made. None of my prior negotiations have ever been this straightforward." He couldn't help but marvel. Whether it was the warrior village of Elboth, the kingdom of Dressrosa, or the kingdom of Alabasta, each deal had required careful planning and deliberation before the other party would agree. Annihilation was never the goal. Getting them to agree willingly, that was the key. But with Judge, everything fell into place effortlessly. "Well, whatever," Joey muttered, shaking his head. "No point overthinking it. The healing fruit, the mirror fruit, and the book fruit, all three need suitable users. Keeping devil fruits as collectibles is pointless. Only by eating them and developing their potential can they truly shine." As he pondered candidates for these fruits, Joey considered, unlike the food-based devil fruits he had set aside for future ministers, these fruits required not just cleverness but also strength and ability. Joey rubbed his temples, thinking aloud. Compote hasn't eaten a devil fruit yet. Mundi, Hashi, and Effeli aren't quite suitable either. Then who else? Reflecting on his siblings, Joey carefully weighed his options. Compote still seemed like a possible candidate. Amand would have been another candidate, however. Amand had already eaten the nut fruit and was being groomed as the Minister of Nuts. Joey wasn't worried about his siblings' talent or aptitude. That wasn't the issue. The real concern was their determination in battle. Matters of the heart and mind weren't something that could be taught easily. Rubbing his temples again, Joey decided, forget it. I'll deal with this later. For now, it's too complicated to resolve. He shook his head calmly. In truth, there were several talented individuals among his younger siblings. Take Custard, for instance. Her personality was naturally suited for battle. Although she was still young and enjoyed playing around, her diligent training spoke volumes about her potential. The current situation was different from before. Back then, Joey had been relentless in training his siblings like Prospero, Compote, and Kitakuri, pushing them hard to build up the family. But now, should he still demand such vigilance from them? Smack. At that moment, a small figure suddenly snatched the heal fruit from Joey's hand. He turned to see Custard standing beside him. "What are you up to, little one?" With a smile, Custard replied, "Big brother, stop looking so burdened all the time. We're family. If something's on your mind, just say it." Joey chuckled. "What would a little rascal like you understand?" Pouting, Custard protested, "What do you mean, little rascal? Big brother, didn't you start building this family when you were just a kid, even younger than me?" Joey shook his head. "That was then, this is now. Back then, I had no choice. But now, the most important thing is for you kids to grow up safely." Custard shook her head firmly. "Big brother, I don't want that. I'm not good at managing things, but I'll train hard and seriously. I want to help you, and our brothers and sisters too." Joey looked deeply at Custard. After a moment, he retrieved a devil fruit from the family crest. He tossed it to her casually, saying, "This is the mirror fruit, a Parumsha type. Don't waste its potential." Beaming, Custard caught the fruit. "Don't worry, big brother." Joey also handed her a fine sword. At that moment, his demeanor shifted from gentle to stern. "Charlotte Custard. Since you've chosen this path, you must fulfill your duty. This blade, thou, is your weapon and represents your pledge." "Yes." Custard took the sword, her eyes filled with resolve. Without hesitation, she bit into the devil fruit, eating it in its entirety. Watching her, Joey's expression softened again. You kids. Always so eager to grow and learn. Shaking his head, he said no more. Custard and Broey, both were determined to help their family. How could he not be proud of such hard-working little sisters? Of course, he was. At that moment, the door creaked open, and Broey entered, her expression startled as she saw Custard. Sister Custard? He. Custard giggled playfully. Broey smiled gently and nodded. Congratulations, Sister Custard. Big brother, we've arrived at Green Gemstone Island. The 8th stop, Green Gemstone Island. They were about to return home, but there was something on this island they needed to get before returning. Chapter 53, Dragon Fruit. The Green Gemstone Island was a peculiar land in the North Blue. Its climate was bizarre, split into numerous distinct zones. These strange zones had given rise to a bounty of precious gemstones, the most famous being Green Gemstone, the island's namesake. But beyond the gems, the island was a paradise for lizards. Countless species thrived here, making it their home. As the ship docked, Joey stepped off onto the island. A member of the local mafia greeted him respectfully, bowing low. Young master. The entirety of Green Gemstone Island is under our control. However, we have yet to locate the devil fruit. Reports suggest it was last seen here. With a sharp motion, the mafia man dropped to one knee. This is our failure. Please punish us. Joey waved dismissively, his voice calm yet commanding. You've wasted time, energy, and resources. By all rights, I should punish you. But since you haven't completely failed, until this island is overturned and searched thoroughly, I'll withhold judgment. Ordinarily, Joey wasn't one to punish his subordinates unnecessarily. Instilling fear was a crude and simplistic method of control. True leaders didn't need to wield fear like a club, their power lay in a balance of respect and awe with a little fear. Only when these qualities coexisted could true control over subordinates be maintained. Understood. The mafia man replied, lowering his head further in submission. Good. Joey continued coolly. Now, overturn every inch of this island if you must. Even if it costs us all the green gemstone here, it doesn't matter. Yes, sir. The mafia man quickly departed, rallying others to begin the search. As he left, Joey's sharp gaze followed him. Green gemstone, a rare and highly valuable gem, brought in nearly 10 billion Baileys annually for the Charlotte family. But that kind of wealth meant little to Joey. What mattered was the devil fruit rumored to be here. Standing beside him, Cadenza scratched his head awkwardly. Big brother, isn't this a bit extreme? Even if we don't find the devil fruit, enough. Joey interrupted firmly. His tone softened as he continued. Cadenza, after the establishment of Toto Land, we'll need generals. Kitakuri and Cracker can serve as our pirates, but you five will be the military leaders of Toto Land. Do you understand? There's no room for weakness. Cadenza fell silent. Joey's logic was irrefutable. A strong leader could always acquire wealth, power was the cornerstone of everything. Remember this. Joey said, his tone instructive yet commanding. The most important things in this world are as follows. First, money. Anything that can be bought with money is not a problem. Second, authority. Solving problems through power is the ideal approach. But most crucial of all is strength. With enough strength, you can have everything. His siblings nodded obediently, absorbing his words. Of course, Joey didn't explicitly say what he truly believed. Strength alone wasn't enough. Without a foundation, without roots, any power gained would be fleeting. The ideal balance lay in possessing strength, authority, and wealth at the same time. While Green Gemstone provided substantial income annually, it wasn't worth holding on to at the cost of failing to secure a mythical zone devil fruit. The gem deposits could be destroyed if necessary. Explosions soon echoed across the island. Boom. Boom. As Joey's orders were carried out, the once quiet island was engulfed in chaos. Green gemstone mines were blasted apart, one after another. Reports began streaming in. Zone A, nothing. Zone B, nothing. Zone C, nothing. The island had 18 zones in total, with vast deposits of green gemstone estimated to last 30 years. Even so, Joey showed no hesitation in sacrificing it all. 3 years earlier, the Charlotte family had paid a steep price to claim this island. Now, Joey was destroying it without a second thought. Wait. A voice shouted urgently. Something's wrong in Zone F. Stop. Cease operations immediately. Everyone froze. Workers and mafiosos alike abandoned their tasks and gathered near Zone F, tension hanging thick in the air. If the island was completely destroyed without finding the devil fruit, it would be a massive failure. Young master. Another mafia member rushed over, his voice anxious. Young master. Zone F has shown unusual activity, but we can't proceed further. Based on faint glimmers of light, it might be the devil fruit, but... Joey's eyes narrowed as he interrupted, his voice calm but commanding. Cadenza, this is your devil fruit. Handle it yourself. With a determined nod, Cadenza replied, understood, big brother. The mafia man respectfully gestured. This way, Master Cadenza. As they headed deeper into the island, Joey remained behind, deep in thought. Whether this succeeds or not remains to be seen. He murmured. But if the fruit isn't here, finding another mythical zone won't be easy. He rubbed his temples, the weight of countless considerations pressing on him. Replacing a mythical zone devil fruit was no small task. Most importantly, this was a mythical zone. The Sphinx fruit, which had taken 10 years to locate, was purely a stroke of luck. If this turned out to be another false lead, the losses would be immeasurable. However, if the reports were accurate, this devil fruit was no ordinary mythical zone, it was one of immense power, dragon fruit, mythical zone, winged dragon form. If genuine, the fruit's value would far exceed 50 billion Baileys in measurable benefits alone, to say nothing of its immeasurable potential. A mythical zone of such caliber could change everything. Chapter 54, A True Pastry 5 Generals. Crack. Emerald green veins of a green gemstone split apart as they were carefully peeled away, tossed aside with little regard. Cadenza stood at the center, wielding a long silver spear tipped with dragon design, the silver dragon spear. He handled the delicate task with extreme precision. Thankfully, Cadenza had exceptional control over his strength. Had it been someone else? The task might have devolved into a chaotic bombardment, leaving the devil fruit completely destroyed. And that would have been nothing short of a disaster. Exhaling deeply, Cadenza finally took a step back. After a grueling 30 minutes of effort, the devil fruit was finally unearthed. He held it in his hand, inspecting the mysterious fruit with a frown. Is this really the one? Shaking his head, he muttered, forget it. I'll let Big Brother confirm it. With the fruit in tow, he hurried back toward the others. Meanwhile, Joey was giving orders. Sort through the destroyed green gemstone stones. Use whatever can still be salvaged, and abandon the rest. Focus on extracting other valuable minerals. Understood. The mafia underlings promptly dispersed to handle the arrangements. Cadenza soon returned, holding the fruit aloft. Big brother, is this the one? Joey glanced at it, his sharp eyes scanning the fruit. That's it. Fantastic. Smiles broke across everyone's faces. After all, so much had been invested into this operation. If they'd still failed to locate the devil fruit, it would have been a catastrophic blow. Now that they'd found it, their efforts had finally paid off. A subtle smirk spread across Joey's lips as he watched Cadenza devour the fruit in one swift bite. Murmuring to himself, he reflected, finally, all the 5 devil fruits. After more than a decade of effort, they've all been secured. This trip has already fulfilled its primary goal. Joey had set out with 2 clear objectives from the start of this journey. Objective 1, gather devil fruits for his 5 younger brothers. The Charlotte family had already established clear divisions within its hierarchy, the future ministers, led by Amand. The elite officers, led by Katakuri. Among these officers, Katakuri and Cracker served as the core of the 3 Sweet Commanders, a position Joey had strategically placed them in within Big Mom's pirate crew. Why? Because when you lack the strength to dominate the world outright, you must act with care. And let's face it, Big Mom pirates didn't operate under conventional morality. They were pirates. Beyond these elites, there was the second tier of officers, comprising Prospero, Compote, Daifuku, Oven, and Custard. This group represented all-around talents, capable of both managing operations and holding their own in battle. Finally, there were the Pastry 5 Generals, led by Opera. This particular group had been cultivated by Joey as the future face of Todo Land. While Katakuri served as the face of Big Mom's pirate operations, the Pastry 5 Generals would represent Todo Land's sovereignty as a nation. Objective 2, finalize the arrangements for upcoming deals. These deals would secure the Charlotte family's rightful position during the Reverie 2 years from now. Roar. A sudden roar cut through Joey's thoughts. All eyes turned toward Cadenza, whose body began to contort. Cadenza's transformation was grotesque yet awe-inspiring. His neck elongated unnaturally, resembling the curve of a snake, but with distinct reptilian features. His skin became coated in shimmering green scales, his hands and feet morphing into razor-sharp claws. 2 demonic dragon horns jutted from his head, while leathery green wings sprouted from his back, bat-like, but uniquely distinct. Roar. Cadenza let out an ear-shattering howl, his aura surging wildly. At that moment, his power surged to rival that of his brothers. In fact, his newfound strength slightly exceeded theirs but still the same tier. Over the past few months, Opera had reached bronze level 7. Counter Ungala had reached bronze level 6. Cabaletta, because of his brute-like tendencies, had advanced to bronze level 7 through sheer effort. Cadenza, however, had been lagging behind at bronze level 4. But after consuming the devil fruit, his strength skyrocketed to bronze level 7 in one fell swoop. Watching Cadenza's transformation, Joey commented, "Counter, Gala, you two should take this as motivation." Understood. The two brothers nodded earnestly, determined to push themselves further. As Cadenza's roars echoed, his four brothers followed suit, their respective transformations coming into full display. An azure divine dragon spiraled through the sky. A green-winged dragon soared majestically above. A blue phoenix ascended, radiating ethereal flames. An 8-headed serpent dragon hybrid reared its heads. Finally, a ferocious sphinx roared with primal might. Ha ha ha! Despite the grandeur, the sight of Cabaletta drew laughter from the four younger sisters. His transformation, while powerful, looked undeniably odd compared to the others. Roar! Irritated, Cabaletta lunged at them in mock aggression, causing them to scatter in playful panic. Nearby, Custard decided to join the fun. Mirror clone. Using her ability, she created a duplicate of Cabaletta's sphinx form through her mirror. However, the mirror shattered moments later, unable to sustain the energy of the clone. Custard collapsed from the effort, gasping for air. Smack. Joey knocked her lightly on the head, scolding, "Your stamina can't keep up with your ability's consumption. It's fortunate the clone dissipates when the mirror breaks. Otherwise, you'd have drained yourself dry." Custard pouted, her playful demeanor intact despite the reprimand. Finally, the Pastry 5 generals returned to their hybrid forms and regrouped. Looking them over, Joey's face broke into a satisfied grin. These were his meticulously cultivated true Pastry 5 generals. Chapter 55, CP Organization. The embodiment of the Azure Dragon, wielding the mighty Azure Dragon Crescent Blade, Opera. With the power of Yamata no Orochi fruit, a snake tail flicking slightly, and holding the fearsome long snake spear, Counter. A massive green-winged dragon form, like a mythical beast, gripping the gleaming silver dragon spear, Cadenza. With a lion-headed humanoid body, hefting a golden tiger spear, Cabaletta. A bird-headed figure with wings for arms, wielding the powerful mountain-splitting blade, Gala. The 5 generals of the Tato land. This was the true force Joey had been nurturing. This was the group destined to be the face of Tato land in the future. The kind of team that brought Joey immense satisfaction. Not bad at all, Joey said with a smile, his expression brimming with pride as he gazed at his 5 younger brothers. "You 5 brats." Joey chuckled, "You've already eaten devil fruits that perfectly match your abilities. From here on out, it's up to you to grow stronger." "Yes, big brother." Each of the 5 nodded firmly, their determination clear. Joey's gaze then shifted from them to Custard, who was trying to blend into the background with a guilty smile. "Oh, no, you don't." Before Custard could escape, Joey grabbed her by the collar and lifted her. His stern voice boomed, "Custard, listen up. Don't ever try something beyond your capabilities again. Your strength isn't enough yet, and attempting dangerous feats like that is reckless. The mirror fruit is powerful, but it's a double-edged sword. If you lose control, it could backfire on you." Custard, faced with her big brother's serious tone, obediently lowered her head and said softly, "I understand, big brother." "Humphrey." Joey snorted, still a bit annoyed. "You troublemaker." "Forget it." Shaking his head, Joey looked at his adorable little sister and softened. "The mirror fruit is indeed powerful, but developing your physical strength is just as important. Remember that, okay?" "Yes, big brother." Custard replied with a small nod. Suddenly, Joey's expression changed as a thought struck him. "Wait, I have an idea." "What's it, big brother?" His siblings gathered around, their curiosity piqued. Joey fell silent, lost in thought for a moment, then turned to Opera. "Opera, your strength is the greatest among us. What do devil fruits consume when used?" "Huh?" Opera blinked, caught off guard by the question. He scratched his head before answering, "Big brother, devil fruits consume stamina, of course. It's not just devil fruits, hockey burns through stamina too." Joey nodded, deep in thought. "If that's the case, what if we could replace stamina with another type of energy? Wouldn't that make devil fruits even more powerful?" The room fell silent as everyone pondered Joey's words. Joey smiled faintly. "Let's head to the West Blue first. We can discuss the details later. But this idea is worth exploring." The ship continued its voyage as Joey retreated to his office, his mind racing. Leaning back on the sofa, Joey muttered to himself, whether it's stamina, internal energy, spiritual energy, or magical power, it's all energy at its core. Every world has its own system, it just takes the right techniques to harness it. The body refinement jutsu I'm working on strengthens every part of the body. Massaging his temples, he sighed. The real challenge isn't finding resources or talented individuals. It's getting hold of techniques. Even the lowest level ones are tightly controlled. Joey's thoughts wandered back to the time he acquired the body refinement jutsu. If the clan leader had realized its value back then, there's no way I could have bought it. It was pure luck he underestimated it. Still, he couldn't help but feel the pressure. Developing the body refinement jutsu was no easy task. Reaching the pinnacle, Golden Rank 9, would allow someone to challenge a Platinum Rank 1 opponent, even if victory was unlikely. The sheer physical strength gained was worth the effort. Late into the night, Joey stepped out of his cabin, hands clasped behind his back, and gazed into the distance. Looks like finding a suitable training jutsu will be tricky. But for me, the best choice isn't internal energy, chakra, celestial arts, or magic. All those require talent. What I need is pure energy. It's the perfect fit, a power that grows through physical training. The body refinement jutsu and pure energy were a perfect match. Like pure energy techniques were prevalent across many worlds and weren't particularly rare. Yet, despite its availability, it remained absurdly expensive. Purchasing 10,000 beasts costs 20 devil fruits. Joey murmured to himself. But acquiring a pure energy jutsu? That might set me back 30 devil fruits. He smirked, undeterred. But it's worth it. With the right upgrades, it could evolve into something incredible, maybe even an origin power jutsu. Now that I think about it, I remember seeing the Saiyan leader buying things before. I need to make him sell the key method or something like that from the Dragon Ball universe. It's the best option right now. Would he be interested in the devil fruits? Just as he was lamenting, he paused abruptly, scanning his surroundings with sharp eyes. His lips curled into a smirk. CP organization, huh? I expected you to move faster. Took your sweet time showing up. Chapter 56, The Power of the Five Generals. Swish. 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 Shadows flickered, appearing out of nowhere. The surrounding mobsters immediately reacted, shouting, "We're under attack! We're under attack!" At that moment, Joey's calm voice cut through the commotion, steady and commanding, "Calm down and step back. These opponents are out of your league." Understood. Though the mobsters were loyal to their boss and wouldn't abandon him, they obeyed his command, retreating a few steps while staying alert. Guns raised, they aimed squarely at the 8 figures in the center of the room. The 8 intruders were varied in appearance, yet all shared a cold, emotionless demeanor. Each wore a sharp black suit and maintained a chilling silence, their eyes locked on Joey. "Hands in his pockets," Joey said nonchalantly, "judging by your outfits, you must be CP9 agents." "Makes sense. CP1 through CP8 are intelligence operatives, while CP0 serves as the Celestial Dragon's personal bodyguards. No way they'd show up here." Joey's casual tone conveyed no surprise. It was clear the world government didn't want to involve the Marines. In this scenario, the 5 elders sending CP9 was a logical move. But could CP9 handle Joey? That was a different question entirely. Without wasting a word, the 8 CP9 agents launched their attack. Tempest Kick. In perfect unison, all 8 leaped into the air and delivered powerful air/kicks. Tempest Kick, one of the 6 powers, in which the users start by kicking at very high speeds and strength, which results in a sharp compressed blade of wind that can slice through objects and greatly damage a human body. The display was impressive, but among the 6 powers, Finger Pistol, Moonwalk, Tempest Kick, Instant Transmission, and Iron Body, the techniques were easy to master once you grasped the principles, assuming comparable strength. The only true advanced skill was Paper Art, requiring deep mastery. As the 8 agents' combined attack bore down on him, Joey remained calm, a faint smile on his face. "Humphrey." A cold snort echoed. An arrogant voice rang out, "You fools! Who gave you the guts to attack my big brother?" Crackle. In an instant, all 8 attacks were blocked. At the same time, roar. 2 voices rang out as Counter and Cabaletta charged in, weapons drawn. 8 thrusts. Counter was the first to strike. His spear moved at blinding speed, infused with armament hockey. The spear seemed to transform into a scary snake's head, joined by 7 other hockey-infused snake heads, creating a fearsome 8-headed assault. Desert hell. Cabaletta's approach was simpler yet no less devastating. From seemingly nowhere, a torrent of sand materialized. Whoosh! Shimmering yellow sand whirled around him, forming roaring lions infused with armament hockey. The family crest's power granted a 20 square meter storage space. Cabaletta had emptied it of everything except weapons and filled it with sand. It wasn't an infinite supply, but it was enough. Unlike the sand fruit's power, Cabaletta couldn't create sand, but his rare ability allowed for unparalleled control. Clang! Clang! 6 of the 8 CP9 agents split off to intercept the attacks. The remaining 2 leaped into the air. Penetrating Finger Pistol. Sharp Tempest Kick. Both unleashed enhanced versions of their 6 powers, their attacks fiercer and more precise. Gale appeared, effortlessly blocking the attacks. His injuries healed instantly as he grinned. What do you think you're doing to my big brother? Tell me. How do you want to die? His eyes glowed with a terrifying light. Gale's aura was overwhelming. His hands, resembling blue flames, wielded a weapon also engulfed in those inextinguishable flames. The 2 CP9 agents hesitated, their faces paling. Clang. Clang. With Gale's arrival, the 3 brothers now fully held back CP9's assault. But suddenly, bang. Bang. 2 faint gunshots broke the air, barely audible. For snipers with extraordinary observation hockey and compressed armament hockey, their bullets are nearly impossible to dodge. But this time, their target was someone equally terrifying. Swish. A spear met the bullets midair. Cadenza, wielding his glaive-like spear, swatted both bullets aside with ease. Ha! With a smirk, Cadenza hovered in the air in his half-beast form. As expected, there's someone hiding in the distance. Judging by the position and aura. It's over there. Whoosh! With a powerful flap of his wings, Cadenza soared toward the sniper's location. Will Cadenza be okay? Opera wondered, standing guard by Joey's side with his Azure Dragon Crescent blade in hand. Considering Cadenza's caution, if he acted on his own, the risk must be low. Satisfied, Opera refocused on his duty, protecting Joey. Everyone in the family knew their big brother was strong. But as the head of the family, it wouldn't do for him to fight personally. Found you. Dragon's Breath. Cadenza unleashed a scorching blast, engulfing the distant figure. Meanwhile, back at the main battlefield, the fight had ended. Counter, Cabaletta, and Gala had dealt with all 8 CP9 agents. Opera casually finished them off with a blaze of fire, reducing them to ashes. This was Joey's teaching, never leave an enemy a chance to retaliate. Chapter 57, Getting the Stand Arrows. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Mission failed. Fish Fruit, Mythical Zone type, Azure Dragon form. Snake Fruit, Mythical Zone type, Yamata no Orochi form. Dragon Fruit, Mythical Zone type, Giant Dragon form. Cat Fruit, Mythical Zone type, Sphinx form. Bird Fruit, Mythical Zone type, Phoenix form. And an individual suspected of being able to store and summon devil fruits, capable of producing a massive amount of sand out of nowhere. In the shadows, a pair of sharp eyes observed the aftermath. These men, dressed in white suits and wearing masks, belonged to CP0. CP0, the most elite unit within the Cypher Pol organization, often referred to as the strongest shield of the Celestial Dragons. Their presence alone signified the weight of the situation. The 5 elders clearly took Joey and the Charlotte family very seriously. This wasn't just about the death of a Celestial Dragon. It was about the alarming growth of the Charlotte family, rapid, ruthless, and overwhelming. This is all the intel we've gathered so far. One CP0 member reported. Withdraw. The CP0 operatives began their silent retreat. They had collected what they came for. Sending CP9 alone to kill Joey? That was never realistic. If it were that simple, the Charlotte family would have been crushed long ago. This operation was less about elimination and more about measuring the opponent's strength. Even without factoring in Linlin, Kitakuri, and others, the Charlotte family already had its monstrous 5 pastry generals. What's your evaluation of their strength? One CP0 member asked. 5 mythical zones. Their physical resilience is extraordinary. In terms of power? Above Marine Headquarters Vice Admirals. They're as strong as elite Vice Admirals but not at the level of Admiral candidates. CP0 continued its report. The world government had its own classification system for strength, which ignored the weak entirely. Rankings moved as follows: Vice Admiral Headquarters Vice Admiral Elite Vice Admiral Admiral Candidate then. Admiral has many levels. In terms of comparison, an Admiral candidate ranked as Bronze Level 9. About to become an Admiral was Silver Level 1. Admirals themselves began at Silver Level 2. Charlotte Linlin, however, was already Silver Level 3, standing as one of the top-tier admirals. Still, nothing was absolute, as talent and devil fruits could change everything in an instant. Gather all intel on the Charlotte family. Do not act recklessly for now. CP0's leader ordered. Investigate the origins of their gene fruit, skeleton army, and berserk beasts. Yes, sir. The Den call ended, and the CP0 members faded into the shadows. The gene fruit was of particular interest. Without fully understanding its origins, taking action against the Charlotte family was too risky. This fruit's influence was expanding rapidly as Joey continued his journey. If, in 2 years, Joey could gain the support of over 40 nations, even the 5 elders would be unable to ignore him. They might even have to publicly support him to maintain the world government's image. Failure to do so could fracture the alliance of affiliated nations. For now, gathering intel was key. Know your enemy, as they say. On the Charlotte family's side, Joey turned to his 5 brothers with a satisfied grin. You 5 brats are finally stepping up. Now you're starting to look like real leaders. Ihahaha, the brothers chuckled and scratched their heads, delighted by their eldest brother's praise. Joey smirked. Alright, quit the goofy grins. You've done well, but there's more work ahead. Keep training and improving yourselves. The family, the country, our future rests on your shoulders. Don't think you can slack off and leave everything to me, got it? The brothers froze, faces awkward. Slack off? Not a chance. They all vividly remembered their younger days when Joey would ruthlessly punish them during training, saying they weren't working hard enough. Still, they all remembered how their brother had helped them deeply, especially Opera, who was once timid and soft-spoken. Joey had helped him grow. Now, Opera wasn't just confident, he bordered on arrogant. Each of the 5 brothers had flaws in their personalities. But that's what made them human. Imperfections were inevitable. Together, their contrasting traits balanced out, creating a perfectly imperfect team. Joey nodded in approval. You all handled the situation well. Your individual issues? We'll address them in time. For now, take the night off and get some rest. The brothers grinned like idiots as Joey headed back to the ship. Once aboard, Opera turned to the remaining crew. Stay alert. Carry on as usual. Clean up all traces of the battle and repair the damage. The Mafia soldiers responded immediately. Yes, Master Opera. Opera wasn't lacking in ability, quite the opposite. He was sharp and capable, but his arrogance often got him reprimanded by Joey. Yet even Joey could see it, Opera had grown a lot. Just as Joey settled into his quarters, a notification rang out. Joestar Clan Leader, Charlotte Clan Leader, how's the preparation? The 3-day deadline is up, the reminder made Joey pause, rubbing his temples. The last few days had been hectic, but he quickly replied. Charlotte Clan Leader, no problem, Joestar Clan Leader. Everything's ready, Joestar Clan Leader, then let's begin the exchange. A brilliant flash of light illuminated the room. Joey's 5 devil fruits vanished, replaced by 3 mysterious arrows. Joey picked them up, muttering to himself. A regular arrow. A soul arrow. And a requiem arrow. Let's see what these can do. Chapter 58, Stand, Silver Greatsword. Regular arrow. Soul arrow. Requiem arrow. What do these 3 arrows really mean? Ordinary people wouldn't have a clue. But any otaku with some knowledge knows that these arrows hail from the world of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure game. Their significance is beyond question. They can awaken stand abilities in ordinary people. The regular arrow can awaken a random stand in an ordinary person, but it usually won't be that strong. If someone who already has a stand is pierced by this arrow, it might lead to the development of new abilities. The soul arrow, on the other hand, brings forth a stand that reflects the user's soul and desires, molding it into the most fitting form for them. And finally, the requiem arrow. This one takes things to a whole new level. When a stand is pierced by the requiem arrow, it evolves into a requiem stand, often gaining incredible, reality-altering abilities. As Joey played with the 3 arrows in his hands, a sly grin formed on his face. When I think about it, these 3 arrows are perfect for me. Stand abilities really are the most suited for my needs. Hey. Joey couldn't help but chuckle. Stand abilities. To put it bluntly, they're strange and diverse, with endless possibilities. There are stands that can manipulate time, alter cause and effect, store objects, and more. In summary, stand abilities are incredibly unique. The strongest stands can even reset the universe. What's more, a stand's abilities can evolve as the user's mental strength and other attributes grow. At its core, a stand's power is limitless as long as the user is strong enough. The essence of a stand is a manifestation of the life energy within its user, a projection of their spirit. It exists and doesn't exist, like a spiritual companion hovering behind them. Understanding it this way? You're pretty much spot on. For someone like Joey, who loves to control everything, stand abilities couldn't be a better fit. Staring at the 3 arrows, Joey pondered everything he knew about stands and murmured, but there's something odd about this. The Joestar clan member I made a deal with, was he really a JoJo? Every member of the Joestar family is called JoJo. Joey had no idea who he had dealt with and even if he really was one. The reason was simple. Dio. That guy took over a Joestar's body, so technically, he could also be considered a Joestar family leader. Forget it. Shaking his head, Joey dismissed the thought. It doesn't matter to me. What's important now is awakening my stand. Joey stared at the 3 arrows again, falling into silence. In theory, he definitely had the potential to awaken a stand. But, What if he failed? Fear? Anxiety? It wasn't unusual to feel this way. It's just human nature. Even though Joey had grown over the past 14 years into a capable leader, he was still human. He liked beauty, power, and wealth. And he also feared death. That wasn't strange at all. It was human nature. Ha! Joey exhaled deeply, letting out the tension inside him. He muttered, I just need to calm myself down. No matter what, I can't give in to fear. The soul arrow will awaken the stand most suited to me. I need to overcome my fear of death and stay composed. Joey carefully stored the 3 arrows. For now, he needed to steady his mind. First is the soul arrow, then the regular arrow, and finally the requiem arrow. Still, it wasn't the right time to use them yet. Massaging his temples, Joey decided to rest. Next, he would focus on calming his spirit and regaining his peace of mind. The next day on her way to Joey's room, Brûlé felt something was off. Her big brother was never one to slack off. If anything, he was the opposite, a diligent and serious man. He was always either studying or strategizing for the future. Every day, without fail, Brûlé could see her brother's warm smile. But today, he was nowhere to be seen. That was strange. If Joey planned to take a break, he would have ensured everything was taken care of first. Knock, knock. Standing at his door, Brûlé knocked gently and asked, Big brother, are you okay? Are you feeling unwell? From inside, Joey's calm voice replied, Brûlé, I'm fine. I just need some time to settle my thoughts. Stick to the usual plans for now, and don't disturb me, not even for meals. Afternoon tea is cancelled. What? Brûlé froze in shock. Afternoon tea? Cancelled? In the Charlotte family, afternoon tea was sacred, a tradition they would never skip. Their obsession with desserts was practically a religion. Yet Joey was cancelling it? How could she not be stunned? Still, Joey had spoken. Brûlé left obediently, though she was filled with confusion. As Brûlé exited the cabin, Opera approached her, frowning. Brûlé, where's Big Brother? Brûlé, still dazed, looked up. Opera? Opera's brow furrowed further. Is Big Brother okay? Brûlé hesitated, nodded, then shook her head before explaining everything that had just happened. For a moment, Opera was silent, lost in thought. This was strange, even for their big brother. What was going on? Later, Opera gathered everyone together. After hearing what Brûlé had to say, Custard and Angel started clamoring to see Joey. No way. Brûlé immediately refused. Big brother clearly said not to disturb him, not even for afternoon tea. He must be dealing with something important. What if we interrupt him? That's... Everyone hesitated. Despite their concern, Joey's orders were absolute. Disobeying him? They'd rather die. Just then, Akangakubo Momo emerged, her expression curious. The head cancelled afternoon tea? It was clear she had overheard the conversation. As the head chef, Momo rarely prepared desserts outside of afternoon tea. After all, who could eat sweets all day? The crew turned to Opera for guidance. As Joey's second-in-command right now, as Kitakuri and others weren't here with them on the ship, he was now the one calling the shots. Feeling the weight of their gazes, Opera was momentarily flustered but quickly regained his composure. After a moment's thought, Opera declared, stick to the course. We're heading to the West Blue as planned. Big Brother's orders are absolute. Even if we don't understand, we trust him completely. At that, everyone fell silent. Then, one by one, they nodded firmly. Yes. They didn't need to question him. They just needed to trust him. Momo, watching quietly, murmured, the loyalty of the Charlotte family is remarkable. Joey, just what kind of person are you? This wasn't about contracts or obligations. It was about Joey's unique charisma, a power that bound his family to him, no matter how outrageous or reckless his decisions seemed. Shaking her head, Momo decided to stop overthinking it. There were desserts to prepare. After all, in the Charlotte family, afternoon tea was no trivial matter. Phew. Joey sat in his room, exhaling deeply. He spoke calmly to himself, all right. Time to let my mind settle completely, like meditating. Gradually, Joey emptied his thoughts, letting his mind and spirit become completely tranquil. 5 days passed in a flash. During this time, Joey didn't eat or drink. His mental focus sharpened to its absolute peak. Fear of death? That no longer meant anything to Joey. He had transcended any fear of dying. His spirit was honed to perfection. Suddenly, Joey's eyes snapped open. His amber gaze, once warm and gentle, now shone with piercing sharpness. At that moment, Joey seemed like a blade, razor-sharp and unyielding. But soon, the sharpness in his eyes vanished, replaced by an overwhelming sense of authority. This wasn't ordinary charisma. It was the commanding presence of a ruler. The kind of pressure that only someone who holds ultimate power can exude. In those 5 days of fasting and meditation, Joey had pushed himself to his very limits. His voice, hoarse but steady, murmured, "I've reached my limit. My spirit, my energy, they're all at their peak. But this isn't the end." Joey wasn't done. He was building something. The aura of dominance radiating from him grew even stronger. This wasn't conqueror's hockey. It was pure, unadulterated authority, the aura of one who commands empires. When an emperor is enraged, thousands fall. How many could even stand under such pressure? This was the true oppressive power of a ruler. And now, Joey was cultivating that aura to its absolute peak. Suddenly, his terrifying presence peaked. His eyes flashed with determination as he drew the soul arrow. Thwack! Without hesitation, Joey pierced his own heart. Even in what looked like a suicidal act, Joey didn't waver for a moment. There was no fear in his eyes, only resolve. The arrow drove straight through his heart. From beginning to end, his expression didn't change. That oppressive aura remained unbroken. Drip. Blood trickled down from the wound, pooling on the floor. For a moment, it seemed like Joey had reached the brink of death. But then, a silver light burst forth from his body. It proved one thing: Joey's spirit was strong enough. He had the talent to pull this off. Joey's stand awakened. The wound in his heart began to heal, and his strength gradually returned. As he recovered, his body and mind steadied. Phew. Joey let out a long exhale, suppressing all his oppressive energy. Once again, he became the gentle, caring older brother. Placing a hand over his chest, he felt his heartbeat. With a soft smile, he murmured, "It worked." Those 3 words carried a quiet satisfaction. Joey stretched his arms, stood up slowly, and, for a moment, he swayed. It wasn't surprising. After 5 days of mental strain, letting go suddenly left him a little lightheaded. Even with Joey's strength, this kind of focused effort wasn't something he could harness effortlessly. At that moment, a silver figure appeared behind him. She gently supported Joey before he could collapse. Joey turned to look at the stand that had manifested behind him, momentarily stunned. Staring at his stand, Joey murmured, "Is it because I'm not from JoJo's world? My stand seems unique." Stand name, Silver Greatsword, Chapter 59, Legion Type Stand. Exquisite, elegant, and perfectly symmetrical features. She was a flawless blend of Eastern and Western aesthetics. Skin as white as snow. Lips as red as blood. Silver hair cascading down to her waist. And her height? Almost a perfect 190 centimeters. How to describe her? Beautiful, long-legged, not exactly a drop-dead gorgeous face, but still flawless. She was the very definition of a perfect woman. Her silver hair gleamed. Her silver armor sparkled. And she carried a massive silver sword. Yes, everything about this woman was silver. She wore medieval knight's armor, complete with a heavy sword to match. Joey stared at his stand in silence. He wanted to complain but didn't know where to start. Honestly, Joey wasn't the same kid who used to complain about his mom all the time. He'd grown up, matured. Nowadays, he rarely felt the need to complain about things. But right now, there was no way he couldn't complain. In his original world, stands came in all shapes and forms, human-like, mechanical, and even bizarre, abstract forms. But this was new. Joey's stand looked exactly like a human. This is. He opened his mouth, then closed it, rubbing his temples as he tried to calm down. Finally, he grabbed a chair and sat down. The stand, named Silver Greatsword, floated quietly a few inches above the ground. She was beautiful, sure, but completely emotionless. She simply stood there, her sword on her back, silently awaiting Joey's command. Rubbing his temples again, Joey muttered, "What was I even thinking when I awakened my stand? I think I wanted a legion under my control? A legion? A whole army?" Suddenly, Joey snapped out of his thoughts and turned around. And sure enough, where there had been only one Silver Greatsword, now there were 2. Then 4. Then 8. And in the blink of an eye, there were 16. Finally 47. Joey stared at the scene, completely frozen. What? Question mark. Confused and overwhelmed, Joey mumbled, "Is this my doing? Or is it because of my silver rank level 3 power? Does that mean I really created a multi-stand? No, wait. A legion type stand?" Stands typically fell into categories: close-range power types, long-range manipulators, automatic remote types. And as everyone knew, stand users only got one stand. Just one. But Joey? He had a whole legion. And legion-type stands were usually weak individually. But Joey glanced at his stand again and couldn't shake the feeling, this thing is a total cheat code. Rubbing his chin, Joey analyzed, so, I've got a Legion-type stand. I can summon 47 at once, all identical, all equally strong. Their power doesn't diminish no matter how many I summon. Still, a new problem arose: how to control all 47 stands. This was going to be tricky. Taking a deep breath, Joey shook his head and said, "Forget that for now. First, let's focus on the stand's stats and abilities." Honestly, Joey didn't know much about his stand yet. Not surprising, it had just awakened. He needed time. Only through battles and experimentation would he uncover its full potential. Fortunately, Joey had the family system on his side. "System," he said, "show me my stand stats." Silver Greatsword, type, Legion-type stand, destructive power, a speed, a precision, a development potential, a durability, a range, B, 30 meters, abilities, none. What the? Joey was speechless then excited. This stand was exactly what he'd envisioned. As a king, I wanted an army that would follow my every command. He muttered. A stand with A-rank stats across the board, destructive power, speed, precision, durability, and even growth potential. This wasn't just a well-rounded fighter. This was a perfectly elite warrior. Wait. He mumbled. How strong are A-rank stats, exactly? He wasn't expecting anything crazy right away. Stands needed time to grow, even if their user was powerful. Joey's own strength set the stand's upper limit. But its current power would depend on his life energy and mental strength. In theory, if Joey's energy and spirit grew stronger, so would his stand. And his stand, well, it had the potential to become terrifyingly powerful. Even compared to legendary stands like Star Platinum, Joey's Silver Greatsword was no slouch. Its range extended up to 30 meters, which, while not long, was still respectable. "All right," Joey said. "Time to test it out." With a flick of his mind, Joey commanded the stands to move. Effortlessly, all 47 stands sprang into action. "It's like an extension of my own body," Joey murmured. "They move as naturally as my own limbs. Controlling them feels almost instinctual." He directed the stands toward the edge of their range. As soon as they hit the 30-meter mark, they stopped dead. No matter how hard he tried, they couldn't move farther. "Well," Joey said, standing up, "I've got the basics figured out. Time for a proper test." Joey stepped out onto the deck of the ship, the sunlight glinting off the endless blue sea. "What a beautiful ocean," he muttered. "Big bro?" X5 The 5 Opera brothers spotted Joey and hurried over. "Are you okay?" Opera asked, worried. Joey smiled gently. "I'm fine. In fact, I've just gained a new ability. Why don't you guys help me test it?" "Huh?" The brothers exchanged confused glances but nodded. Standing with his hands in his pockets, Joey grinned. "Be careful, little guys. You might get hurt if you're not serious." Hearing this, the brothers instantly shifted into their hybrid forms, eyes sharp and ready. They knew better than to underestimate their big brother. What followed was chaos. Joey's stands moved like shadows, invisible to the naked eye. The Opera brothers couldn't see a thing but quickly activated their observation hockey. "What the hell?" Opera exclaimed. "We're surrounded." All 20 stands had formed groups of 4, creating diamond-shaped formations to break through the brothers' defenses. The result? A flawless strategy. Each brother was isolated and overwhelmed. Joey watched with satisfaction. The average power level of each stand is about bronze rank 5, but their teamwork is incredible. Strength, speed, precision. Everything is top tier. Plus, they grow stronger the more they fight. He couldn't help but feel proud. Pure physical power. No gimmicks, no flashy abilities. Just raw, unrelenting force. And that was enough. Testing continued as Joey explored the stand's capabilities. Whether it was attaching armament hockey to their swords or pushing them to their limits, one thing was clear: Silver Greatsword was a perfect fit for Joey's style. Strong, efficient, and utterly loyal. Strong? Yes. Weak? Maybe, in a sense. It didn't have any unique abilities, but its raw potential was off the charts. And for Joey? That was more than enough. Chapter 60, Kingdom of Kano. The battle had finally come to an end. This fight, lasting nearly 5 hours, resulted in a draw. Undeniably, the Silver Greatsword's strength was remarkable. A draw with the 5 Opera brothers was no easy feat. It was clear that the stand's power didn't lie just in individual might, it was the power of numbers that truly shone. This was the essence of its true strength. A one-person army. Perhaps this description was most fitting for Joey. After the test concluded, everyone took a seat. "Master, your pastries." Momo placed the pastries on the table before retreating. It had been 5 days since Joey last ate. Not just proper meals, he hadn't even had sweets. For someone like Joey, it was pure torture. Thankfully, he had an iron will. If it had been someone like Big Mom with her lack of restraint? Hey! By now, she'd probably have gone berserk. There was no doubt about it. Joey quickly yet gracefully devoured the pastries, wiped his mouth, and said, "Sit down. Let's have a quick discussion. Based on everything, how do you all view my abilities?" The group settled down. The 4 girls took their seats on the sofa, while the 5 opera brothers sat cross-legged on the floor. Gayla spoke up with a curious expression. "Big bro, your abilities don't seem like devil fruit powers, right?" Joey nodded. "No, they aren't. It's a different kind of special ability." "I see." Gayla nodded in understanding. He continued, "Looking at your overall strength, attack, defense, speed, you're easily at the level of a Marine Vice Admiral. But when it comes to your swordsmanship, while it's incredibly precise, it feels more instinctive?" Scratching his head, Gayla seemed unsure how to put it into words. Indeed, the Great Sword's swordsmanship was extraordinarily refined, but it felt purely instinctive. This precision stemmed from the nature of its creation, completely wielding the blade out of pure instinct. Naturally, if Joey were to study swordsmanship and become a master, his strength would grow exponentially. Joey explained, "It's simple. The Great Sword is essentially a part of me. It functions on pure instinct. If my own swordsmanship improves, the power it wields will become even greater. Moreover, as time goes on, the Great Sword will continue to grow stronger." Joey paused thoughtfully before adding, "Given enough time, the Great Sword can evolve to match my strength, perhaps even surpass it." Indeed, that was the most unique aspect of this stand. A stand possesses the same potential as its user, with the capability to surpass even them. Joey's Silver Greatsword took this to an absurd level. Individually, the Silver Greatsword was a skilled swordsman focused on physical prowess. But don't forget, it consisted of 47 entities. When they reached Joey's level, it was akin to having 47 loyal, high-level silver-tier fighters at his side. Truly dreadful. Even more so, the Greatsword's growth potential was ranked as A, meaning its power could continue to evolve. The tests confirmed it. This was a stand with a staggeringly high upper limit as a physical combat-focused swordsman. Joey's role was to guide its transformation further. When it reached its peak, it could evolve to even greater heights with the Requiem arrow. While everyone else marveled at the Greatsword's abilities, Joey was already considering its future development and various evolutionary paths. At this moment, Opera remarked, "Big bro. I think the most important aspect of the Greatsword isn't just its numbers but its armament hockey. Its armament hockey reflects your strength." Joey nodded. "I'm aware." He continued, "The Greatsword's swordsmanship and armament hockey are extensions of me. If I develop them to higher levels, the Greatsword's power will also grow stronger. The same goes for observation hockey." In short, enhancing the Greatsword's strength wasn't as straightforward as it seemed. Besides allowing it to grow naturally, Joey had to train his swordsmanship and master both forms of hockey. Charlotte Joey was not a man who enjoyed fighting. But he wasn't the type to leave everything to others, either. He preferred to control everything within his grasp. He indeed disliked combat but insisted on wielding absolute power. Joey was someone who wanted everything firmly in his hands. For 2 hours, they discussed and analyzed the Greatsword's traits and limits. By the end, Joey fully understood its potential. Its ultimate strength was hard to gauge. In a true life-or-death battle, the Greatsword alone could potentially kill someone at the level of Kitakuri, a bronze tier level 9 fighter. Interestingly, unlike normal stands, injuries to the Greatsword didn't directly harm Joey. With 47 entities, even if 1, 2, or 3 were defeated, Joey wouldn't be affected. Only when over half, 24, were destroyed would it impact him. In every aspect except its limited range of 30 meters, the Silver Greatsword was nearly flawless. Moreover, with its growth potential ranked as A, it was impossible to tell whether its abilities or range would expand over time. Sometimes, a perfect growth stat was the best. Even when other attributes reached their peak, the growth stat alone determined whether a stand could still evolve. Once a stand hit its true limit, its growth stat would drop to C or completed, signifying it could no longer improve. Massaging his temples, Joey glanced at the Greatsword standing around him and muttered, "Looks like I have a lot more to study. Plus, I need to find techniques or methods to increase life force and mental energy. Ugh, this is getting more troublesome by the day." After lamenting briefly, Joey turned his attention back to the tasks at hand. The system for crossing worlds was set to activate. There were only 86 years left until then. Within this time, not only did Joey need to grow stronger, but he also had to ensure the Charlotte family rose to power alongside him. The next step was clear to Joey. It didn't require much thought. The journey from the North Blue to the West Blue had taken 5 days. When Joey finally stepped out of his room, he was ready to head toward the final stop. The Kingdom of Kano. As one of the world's most renowned and powerful nations, the Kingdom of Kano boasted an impressive military force known as the Happo Navy, Hapojue Army. This military strength was a testament to the nation's prominence and power. Joey's goal? To further strengthen his ties with the Kingdom of Kano's ruler. 3 days later, Joey finally arrived at the 9th and final stop of his journey, the Kingdom of Kano. Of course, he still remembers to capture those two giants, Dory and Brogy, on the way back. Losing them wasn't an option. The ship docked with a loud whoosh as it approached the shore. Joey smiled and said, "Miss Hannah, it's been a long time." The person who greeted him was a stunning woman in her early 30s. She was the ruler of the Kingdom of Kano, Hannah. Hannah had taken the throne at a young age and led the nation to new heights, transforming it from a strong country into a bona fide superpower. From every angle, Hannah was a remarkable figure, a woman to be reckoned with. Joey and Hannah had been business partners for years. Walking with grace, Hannah greeted him with a smile. "Lord Joey, it has indeed been some time. May I ask what brings you here today?" Without waiting for an answer, she continued, "Well, whatever it may be, I've already prepared a banquet. Lord Joey, please, follow me." Joey smiled back. "Of course." The two boarded a carriage that carried them deeper into the Kingdom of Kano, toward its heart, Peony City. The Kingdom of Kano had 99 cities, each named after a different flower. While the nation didn't normally participate in global conferences or really ally itself with the world government, it was a true superpower unlike others like Fishman Island or Germa Kingdom. The nation boasted an impressive standing army of 300,000 soldiers, spread across the 99 cities, each with 30,000 troops. In addition to these forces, Hannah commanded a personal guard of 3,000 elite soldiers, bringing the total to a staggering 3 million. This level of military might was only possible for a nation with a population of over 45 million. A jaw-dropping figure. The Kingdom of Kano wasn't just a single island. Surrounding it were 79 additional islands, all under its jurisdiction. Even when the Kingdom of Kano faced defeat in wars, it was limited to 1 or 2 islands falling, hardly a significant loss. This was the sheer power of the Kingdom of Kano. As for the reason Joey and Hannah got along so well, it was simple. 40% of the genetic, gene, fruits Joey sold were purchased by Hannah. Clink. As they settled into their seats at the banquet, Joey chuckled. "Miss Hannah, you've outdone yourself. Gathering desserts from all over the world must have been no small feat." Hannah responded with poise, "Gathering world-class pastry chefs? That's a simple task for someone like me." Her confidence was undeniable. It was the confidence of a ruler of a superpower. The Kingdom of Kano was formidable from top to bottom. At the top, it had elite fighters. In the middle, it had capable leaders. At the bottom, it had an army of 300,000. The Kingdom of Kano's power was akin to what Kirazumi Orochi boasted when facing CP0, a powerful country. The Kingdom of Kano could make the same claim with ease. With a light laugh, Joey replied warmly, as expected of Miss Hannah. "Your abilities are impeccable." Hannah smiled. "I've also arranged for a dance performance. Whatever pressing matters you have, let's discuss them after the banquet." "Of course." Joey agreed. "I wouldn't want to ruin the mood." Clap. At her signal, a group of dancers entered the hall, 99 of them, dressed in elegant attire reminiscent of ancient court fashion but with a unique twist. Their performance was mesmerizing. The dancers moved gracefully, accompanied by floating petals, creating a scene so enchanting that it was hard not to be captivated. The guards around the room stood still, their gazes fixed ahead, unmoved by the beauty. The opera brothers, ever the stoic types, weren't fazed either. But the 4 young girls in Joey's entourage were completely entranced, their eyes sparkling with excitement, as if eager to learn the dance themselves. Hannah glanced at Joey, her thoughts unreadable. She mused to herself, "Charlotte Joey. Are your ambitions truly just to build a superpower? Or is there something more? No matter what it is, I'll see if your resolve holds strong." With a calm smile, Hannah turned her attention back to the dance. Chapter 61, Marriage at 18. After some time. Watching. The Dance of Flowers. Huh? As Joey watched the mesmerizing dance, a fleeting, almost imperceptible glimmer passed through his eyes. Moments later, he returned to his usual calm demeanor, though his mind quietly pondered, interesting. An illusion, perhaps? Joey had never underestimated this world. Though this world lacked certain specialized training systems, it was far from ordinary. Here, diverse powers thrived, from physical techniques, devil fruits, and hockey, to peculiar energies like ghostly auras, illusions, and witchcraft. So beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely stunning. The dance had drawn the 4 young girls into its spell, leaving them utterly captivated. As for Opera and the other 4 brothers? Hey. These were 5 guys who had no interest in women and lived by the sword. Did you really expect them to care about something like this? Sigh. Watching his brother's disinterest, Joey sighed helplessly and muttered, let's see. Prospero's already 12, Kitakuri's 11, and these little brats are all 8 now. It's about time. Narrowing his eyes slightly, Joey's gaze took on a sharp edge. At that moment, the 5 brothers shuddered in unison, as though sensing an ominous presence targeting them. Little did they know that presence was none other than their own elder brother. Joey kept his usual warm smile and said nothing, for some things didn't need to be spelled out. After all, they were his brothers. Wasn't it natural for him to make some decisions on their behalf? Joey thought silently, it's not like I'm harming them. I'm just planning to arrange some wives for them. The family needed to grow, after all. That was the most important thing. And who better to spearhead this effort than my capable younger brothers? Watching the dance absent-mindedly, Joey's mind was racing. By 18, they'll start courting. Marriage will follow, expanding the family's influence, and of course, producing heirs. Perfect plan, he thought, fully satisfied with his decision. Whether his brothers agreed or not, they could deal with it. If you find someone on your own, fine. But if you don't, and I'm taking care of it for you, you dare to complain? Gala, sensing the growing unease, turned to Opera. Opera, don't you feel like something's off? Cadenza nodded. Gala, I feel it too. Yeah. Counter and Cabaletta also nodded repeatedly. Opera didn't respond. Instead, his eyes were fixed on their eldest brother. The 5 of them exchanged uneasy glances. And when they saw Joey's smile directed their way, they froze. A chill ran down their spines. Absolutely. Their big brother was targeting them. They didn't know why, but being under his scrutiny always led to trouble. What do we do? I don't know. Did we do something wrong lately? No. I don't think so. They looked as though they were on the verge of tears. What the hell? Why were they suddenly being targeted by their big brother? Joey smiled as he withdrew his gaze. There was no need to explain too much now. He'd arrange everything when the time came. As time passed, the dance of flowers gradually drew to a close. Clap. 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 Joey smiled and applauded. What an enchanting performance. Even my little sisters were utterly entranced. It's captivating enough to charm even young girls. Oh my. Hannah chuckled lightly, covering her mouth. Joey-sama, weren't you enchanted as well? Joey replied warmly, beauty is meant to be admired. But losing oneself in it. Now that's dangerous, wouldn't you agree, Miss Hannah? Hannah nodded in agreement. You're absolutely right. The 2 of them exchanged formalities, though beneath the surface, both were maneuvering to gain the upper hand in their negotiations. Unlike weaker nations Joey could easily overpower, the Kano country was a global superpower, and its strength was undeniable. Currently, the Charlotte family and the Kano country were on even footing. This wasn't a game. If the world government's great naval recruitment could uncover monsters like Fujitora and Ryokucho, surely these superpowers had their own trump cards as well. The Kano country was no exception. Joey tapped his fingers lightly on the table as Hannah proposed, supporting this deal isn't an issue, but only 3,000 gene fruits? Isn't that a bit too few? Joey chuckled. Miss Hannah, 3,000 gene fruits is already a significant quantity. You're aware of how low the production rate is. This represents 2, maybe even 3 years of output from the Charlotte family. 2 or 3 years? Hannah inwardly cursed, liar. Does he even blink when spouting nonsense? Indeed, Joey was bluffing. Negotiations were like that. Lies were part of the game. As their discussion continued, Joey's teacup emptied. Without a word, the teapot floated midair, pouring tea into his cup before gently settling back on the table. Hannah's sharp gaze caught the subtle act. It was a warning. Joey's silent message was clear, he could act freely without anyone knowing, including taking her life if needed. Though she recognized the threat, Hannah remained composed and smiled. 3,000 fruits are too few. Let's settle this through strength, shall we? Though barbaric, it's effective. Joey nodded. If you win, I'll raise it to 4,000. Agreed. The 2 locked eyes briefly, each assessing the other. Soon after, they arrived at a grand training arena. The Kano country, understanding the importance of power, had always invested heavily in nurturing strong warriors. Standing at the edge of the arena, Hannah gestured. Chenjiao, if you would. Ha ha ha. A man with a pointed, conical head stepped forward, laughing boldly. The pillar of the Hapo Navy, Chenjiao. Though his name wasn't as renowned as it would later become, Chenjiao's strength was undeniable. Even Garp had needed special training to counter him. At 40 years old, Chenjiao was already a near-legendary powerhouse. Joey surveyed the scene. Not bad, he thought, noting the 8 warriors representing the Kano country's elite Hapo Navy. Opera. Joey called out with a smile. You and your brothers handle this. Yes, big bro. The battle began. Chapter 62, God Valley Battle is coming. Is Chinjiao strong? There's no need to doubt it. Just like there's no need to doubt how far the worst generation, who emerged in the same era as Luffy, can grow under the legends and pressure of monsters like Goldie Roger, Shiki, and Edward Newgate. The fact that they still became legendary monsters in their own right speaks volumes. Could they possibly be weak? In the kingdom of Kano, Chinjiao is truly famous. That alone shows his strength. Among the 8 families, only Chinjiao has risen to become a top-tier powerhouse on the seas. However, Chinjiao isn't at his peak yet. Or rather, he hasn't reached his limits. At the very least, he's not strong enough to handle this situation. Faced with an onslaught from the Opera 5 brothers, Chinjiao was clearly at a disadvantage. His body was covered in wounds. And what about the 5 brothers? Not one of them was seriously injured. Each of them was as lively as ever. It couldn't be helped. Let's not even talk about Gala and his absurd Phoenix Fruit powers. Among these opponents, who wasn't a Mythical Zone user? Competing with Mythical Zones in recovery ability? That's just plain foolish. Counter, Cadenza, and Cabaletta took the lead in attacking. Gala kept up the relentless harassment. And Opera? The strongest of the 5 brothers gripped his Azure Dragon Blade. Every time the opportunity arose, he would strike with 3 precise slashes. Don't underestimate those 3 strikes. The pressure Chinjiao felt from those 3 slashes was heavier than from the other 4 brothers' attacks combined. Opera's 3 strikes were like fighting a swordsman using the 3-sword style. The suppression was overwhelming. Joey observed, glancing at Queen Hannah, whose expression was slightly uneasy. However, as the queen of the kingdom of Kano, she quickly composed herself and smiled. Miss Hannah, it seems the outcome has been decided. Joey said with a polite smile. Yes, it has. Hannah replied, her smile unwavering. I didn't expect the 5 brothers of clan leader Joey to be so strong. Joey chuckled. Their strength comes from their hard work, just as Mr. Chinjiao's strength is unquestionable. Ah! Chinjiao roared furiously, his voice echoing across the battlefield. But it was no use. In the end, his resistance was meaningless. Chinjiao was slammed into the ground, unconscious. There was no helping it. Fighting 1 versus 5 against mythical zones? Even most elites wouldn't stand a chance. Not even someone like Chinjiao, with the strength of a level 9 bronze tier warrior. Even if Chinjiao were a level 1 silver tier quasi-admiral or a level 2 silver tier admiral, it wouldn't matter. After all, these 5 are combat monsters, skilled in physical combat and masters of hockey. Add to that their demonic heritage, which makes them stronger the more they fight, and their top-tier weapons and armor. Couple that with the powers of their mythical zone fruits. Together, these 5 are the epitome of destruction on the battlefield, true generals capable of slaughtering thousands. Very few could face them without suffering losses. Joey is an exception, of course. His Great Sword Legion is a cheat-level force. In a head-on clash, even someone like Linlin could be taken down. That said, the Great Sword Legion does have its weaknesses. If an enemy stays over 30 meters away, they're out of its range. Boom. Chinjiao fell to the ground. With that, the battle was truly over. Sigh. Hannah said with a trace of regret. What a pity. Well, as agreed, we'll trade 3,000 gene fruits. Joey smiled warmly. Of course, Miss Hannah. However, you'll have to pick them up yourself. In 2 months, come to Cake Island to collect them. Hannah nodded. Agreed. Joey extended his hand with a smile. A pleasure doing business with you. Hannah shook his hand and replied, likewise. With that, the deal was sealed. But Joey had no intention of delivering the goods himself. What a joke. The Charlotte family has no such tradition. Besides, too many eyes are watching. If something goes wrong, it could spell disaster. It's safer for Hannah to retrieve the goods herself. After all, the kingdom of Kano has a much grander reputation than the Charlotte family. The Charlotte family's rise to power only began 4 years ago. They're still considered upstarts. Compared to the kingdom of Kano, a superpower with centuries, even millennia, of history, they're on entirely different levels. With the agreement settled, Joey and his men departed. Their business here was done, and there was no reason to linger. Whoosh! As the ships sailed away, Chinjiao approached, his body wrapped in bandages. He looked downcast. Your Majesty. He said, his voice heavy with shame, I've brought disgrace upon myself. I lost to a group of mere brats. Ha ha ha. Hannah laughed softly. Uncle Chinjiao, what's there to be ashamed of? Just win next time. They had the best weapons, the best armor, and the best devil fruits. It's no surprise they won. You just need to grow stronger. Chinjiao nodded firmly. After this battle, I can sense that I'm close to breaking through my limits. Clench. He tightened his fist, his eyes sharp. In the next 2 years, I'll shatter this barrier. Hannah smiled gently. Uncle Chenjiao, the future of the kingdom of Kano depends on you and the other uncles. Great-grandfather is getting old. Yes. Chenjiao said solemnly, nodding in agreement. The kingdom of Kano has always been managed by one family. The 8 families of the Hapo Navy are all relatives of Hannah, royal kin. And the strongest in the kingdom of Kano is their great-grandfather. Leadership has always stayed within the family. Losing 1,000 gene fruits didn't bother Hannah. Though they lost the battle, Chenjiao's potential to grow stronger outweighed the loss. The difference between one powerful warrior and 1,000 ordinary soldiers was clear. In her heart, Hannah thought, Charlotte Joey. You truly are terrifying. The Charlotte family, the Big Mom pirates, you're not taking it one step at a time. You want to reach the top in one giant leap. A faint laugh escaped her lips as she murmured, who would have thought that a family of pirates could rise to this level in just 14 years? With that, she shook off her thoughts and turned to leave. In this world, life doesn't stop for anyone's absence. As the queen of the kingdom of Kano, Hannah had plenty of responsibilities to deal with. The Charlotte family might be important, but analyzing and strategizing over them, that was a job for her advisors. If the queen handled every matter herself, what was the point of having a council? Elsewhere, Joey stood at the edge of his ship, gazing out at the vast, blue sea. The waves splashed gently as their ship gradually sailed out of the west blue. To be honest, there were still so many places Joey hadn't explored. But before he could dwell on that thought, Gala ran up to him. Big bro. The 5 mafia bosses of the West Blue have sent a message. They want to make a deal with us. Joey raised an eyebrow in curiosity. They want to trade with us? Yeah, that's right. Gala nodded, equally puzzled. Joey narrowed his eyes, pondering. The 5 mafia bosses, pillars of the West Blue's underground world. They controlled nearly all of its shadowy dealings. On the surface, the West Blue had the kingdom of Kano. In the shadows, it had the 5 mafia bosses. Together, they were the undisputed kings of the West Blue, reigning over both light and dark. But here's the thing. The Charlotte family had never dealt with them before. Why approach now? After a moment's thought, Joey said, tell them to come. Got it, big bro. Gala quickly left to relay the message. Joey stayed where he was, his gaze fixed on the endless waves. As night fell, a pitch-black ship approached their vessel. The design screamed mafia, sleek, ominous, and dripping with style. A tall, thin man stepped off the ship and walked toward Joey, who was lounging casually on a sofa. The man bowed respectfully. Chief Joey, I am Carlo, representing the 5 mafia bosses. We hope to establish a trade agreement with you. Joey crossed one leg over the other, a sly grin forming on his face. A trade? Interesting. The last time we reached out, the 5 mafia bosses didn't seem interested in working with the Charlotte family. Carlo didn't flinch at the remark. He simply smiled and replied, Chief Joey, times have changed. Business is business, after all. Fair enough. Joey said with a nod. So, what kind of deal are we talking about? Carlo exhaled in relief. The hardest part, getting Joey's attention, was over. Initially, the 5 mafia bosses had dismissed the Charlotte family's gene fruits as insignificant. But time changed everything. As more gene fruits spread through the kingdom of Kano, the gap between elite forces and ordinary soldiers became glaringly obvious. The bosses couldn't ignore it anymore. Carlo began, Chief Joey, you've been reaching out to nations like Dressrosa and Alabasta. Clearly, you're aiming to play a role in the next World Council 2 years from now. The 5 mafia bosses control 7 nations, and they're willing to align with your decisions at the council. Additionally, each family is prepared to purchase 200 gene fruits, offering 10 devil fruits in exchange for every 200. Oh? Joey's interest was piqued. This wasn't just a one-off transaction, it was an offer for a long-term partnership. He chuckled. Interesting. With such generous terms, it would be rude of me to refuse. Tell the bosses they can send representatives to Tato Land with the devil fruits in 2 months. We'll finalize the exchange then. Understood. Carlo's face lit up. For him, this was the best outcome. Securing the deal would bring immense benefits to the 5 mafia bosses. After Carlo departed, Custard couldn't help but remark, Mom only manages to gather 5 to 10 devil fruits a year. These guys just offered 50 in one go, even if they're low quality or unknown ones. That's insane. Broy chimed in, it's not that surprising. These mafia families have ruled the West Blue's underworld for centuries. Their resources must be terrifyingly vast, just like the kingdom of Kano. They've had time to accumulate insane wealth. The crew nodded in agreement. It was true. Any nation or organization with centuries, or even millennia, of history was bound to be rich. Just look at the world government. Who knows how deep their coffers run? All right, Joey said, cutting into the conversation. Prepare to set sail. Our next destination is the Grand Line, Little Garden. We need to pick up those two. The crew's expressions sharpened with determination. They all knew this mission was crucial. The 10,000-strong giant tribe was the key to everything. As the ship adjusted its course, Joey glanced toward the horizon, his voice low but resolute. This journey might be coming to a temporary pause, but it's far from over. There's still so much left to do, visiting the Long-Arm tribe, the Long-Legged tribe, the Three-Eyed tribe, the Snake-Neck tribe, the Skypians, O'Hara, and beyond. Shaking his head, he muttered, but for now, we can't delay any longer. Mom's already warned me, Rock's pirates are on the move. It's time to act. God Valley. Time to return home to prepare my next move. Chapter 63, Final Stop Splash. The waves growled non-stop as the ship sailed directly toward the Grand Line. As the ship crossed Reverse Mountain, another ship was already waiting for Joey and his crew at the Grand Line. Brothers. Big Bro. A man with fiery red hair and a shirtless torso, his presence as intense as his appearance, shouted loudly. It was Charlotte Oven. At this moment, Oven was steering an enormous ship, large enough for giants to live on comfortably. Up in the air, Opera called out excitedly, Oven. Oven looked at him and laughed, Opera. Clearly, these few months apart had made their reunion all the more joyful. Oven, along with Charlotte Perospero and Charlotte Deifuku, were responsible for protecting their family and younger siblings. None of them dared let their guard down, even for a moment. Soon, the two ships met. After a brief exchange, Joey's crew transferred to Oven's massive ship, leaving only a handful of people to pilot the original ship. Oven looked at Joey with excitement. Big Bro. Joey nodded at the much more mature-looking Oven. Oven, you've done well. You've grown a lot. Hee hee. Oven scratched his head with a shy smile. Joey always believed in the potential of his siblings. Despite the short time apart, he was confident that this period of training had elevated all of them, whether it was Perospero, Deifuku, or even the younger ones like Broe. As they reunited, Oven noticed Akingakubo Momo, who was carefully directing the crew to move cooking equipment. He approached her gleefully. Chef Momo. It's been so long. Momo gave him a helpless look. She had to admit, while the Charlotte family was talented and full of prodigies, they all had one major weakness, their obsession with sweets. It wasn't just a craving, it was almost pathological. If they couldn't eat desserts, they would lose control completely. Master Oven. Momo replied respectfully. Hee hee hee. Oven chuckled. He was especially happy today because he had fought Deifuku for the honor of welcoming Joey and won. The real reason, though? Momo was here, and with her, the best desserts imaginable. Missing out would have been heartbreaking. Joey, fully aware of his family's sweet tooth, chuckled to himself. All right, Oven. Joey interrupted, don't bother Chef Momo. Did you prepare everything I asked for? Oven immediately snapped to attention. Big Bro. Everything's ready. Even ancient giants wouldn't stand a chance against what we've prepared. Confidently pounding his chest, Oven declared that the top-tier supplies on board could subdue any giant, no matter how powerful. Good. Joey nodded in approval. With everything in order, Joey gave the order. Set sail. Final stop, Little Garden. No problem, Big Bro. Set sail. Everyone sprang into action as the two ships sped off at an incredible pace. The journey to Little Garden from Reverse Mountain didn't take long at all. The Grand Line was an extraordinary sea, home to a variety of unique islands. Some islands boasted advanced civilizations, while others were trapped in ancient times. Little Garden was one of those ancient islands, a place where humans held no power. Dinosaurs and massive prehistoric beasts ruled the land. The island's name, Little Garden, came from how it resembled a giant's personal garden. Few dared to visit such a place, but today, the Charlotte family had arrived. As their ship docked, the crew gazed in awe at the island's towering trees and oversized landscape. Wow! Exclaimed Custard. This island is huge. Everything here is so gigantic. Broe, always the little know-it-all, added, that's why it's called Little Garden. It's like a giant's garden. Really? Custard's eyes sparkled. This all formed naturally? Of course. Broe explained proudly. The Grand Line is full of unique islands. Some are highly advanced, while others are stuck in ancient times. It's all because of the unique conditions of this sea. Custard, alongside her sisters Angel and Brule, listened in awe, impressed by Broe's knowledge. With a haughty hum, Broe puffed out her chest, clearly enjoying the attention. The older brothers couldn't help but smile at their youngest sister showing off. Joey decided to step in. Alright, enough chit-chat. Time to work. Custard, go with Oven and start collecting rare animals, plants, and insects. Put everything in the mirror world. Custard saluted confidently. Got it, big bro. Oven grinned. Try to keep up with me, Custard. Don't worry, Oven. I'll be fine. The two headed off, leaving Joey to focus on his other tasks. Why collect animals and plants? It was simply Joey's personal hobby. Everyone in the Charlotte family had quirks. Their mother loved collecting races. Joey, on the other hand, had an obsession with rare and fantastical flora and fauna. The zoo he built on Toto Land was filled with extraordinary creatures. Flying beasts, aquatic wonders, and exotic plants. It was a collection Joey prided himself on. Joey turned to Opera and a few others. Take the supplies and deal with Dory and Brogy. Don't worry, their strength has diminished over the years. Their weapons are broken, and they've been out of practice. Understood, big bro. The group nodded, ready to act. Dory and Brogy were once the captains of the giant warrior pirates. Their current strength was around bronze level 9, barely scraping silver level 1. Time had dulled their power significantly. Joey had already studied their stats. The decline wasn't just their fault, numerous factors had contributed. In their prime, giants reached their peak around 200 years old, meaning Dory and Brogy still had room to grow. Theoretically. As Joey walked through the island with Angel, Brule, and Broey, Angel asked curiously, Big bro. Are there many islands like this in the world? Joey shook his head. No one knows, really. The world is vast, and no one has set foot on every island. Why not? Angel tilted her head. Broey explained smugly, because there are too many islands, and it's impossible to explore them all. Oh. The girls nodded, somewhat understanding. Joey added, if you want to see the world, you'll have to grow stronger. Only strength can help you go further. Understand? Yes, big bro. The girls replied earnestly. Joey smiled. His siblings still had a lot to learn, but he believed in their potential. As he walked, Joey summoned his 47 swords, surrounding the group with a protective barrier. These swords, bronze level 5, were more than enough to keep them safe. While observing his summoned swords, Joey muttered, strange. These swords don't seem to grow stronger through battle or training. They just improve over time. Joey found it odd. Normally, stand abilities grew through mental and physical challenges, but his swords seemed to evolve naturally. Was it because of his own strength? Joey couldn't shake the mystery, but he decided to focus on the task at hand. Chapter 64, Heading Back to the New World. The Silver Greatsword? A fascinating stand-in. Joey still needed to study it carefully. Right now, he only had a sketchy understanding of his own stand. Meanwhile, Oven and Custard were walking along a trail. Huh? Custard suddenly stopped in her tracks, eyes wide in shock. Oven. Look at this. What kind of dinosaur is that? Oven turned his head. What the heck is that? Is this even a dinosaur? It looked so bizarre. On Little Garden, a place known for its dinosaurs and enormous feasts, strange things were the norm. The island was home to many ancient creatures resembling dinosaurs or gigantic predators. However, this one was different. This dinosaur had a massive, muscular body with no visible fat. Its back sported pterosaur wings, its head was like a triceratops, and its tail resembled that of an ankylosaurus. It was a mishmash, a freak of nature. Roar. Spotting Oven and Custard, the dinosaur let out a deafening roar and charged at them. Custard panicked. Oven. What do we do? Still a child, Custard had a lot to learn. Oven, however, remained calm. Relax. It's just a small fry. He dashed toward the dinosaur, fist clenched. Boom. With armament hockey swirling around his fist, Oven landed a powerful punch. The ground shook. But, to everyone's shock, the dinosaur withstood the attack. Oven's punch, a display of his solid bronze level 6 power, was blocked by this creature. What the? Custard gasped. That thing's defense is insane. Is it really just a dinosaur? Oven didn't reply, lost in thought. Was this even an ordinary dinosaur? No, it seemed more like a genetically engineered monstrosity. Whatever. Oven muttered, shaking off his thoughts. His eyes sharpened. Doesn't matter what you are. You've got bad luck running into me. You're going into Big Bro's collection, no matter your origin. With calculated ferocity, Oven launched a series of brutal attacks. His punches and kicks weren't random, they followed a deadly martial art Joey had provided for him. Joey had equipped all his siblings with fighting techniques tailored to their strengths. Oven, a melee expert, practiced a brutally efficient fighting style from another world. Combined with his heat fruit powers, his attacks were devastating. His brothers and sisters had their own specialties too. Katakuri mastered trident techniques. Cracker wielded his greatsword with unmatched skill. The other siblings also had personalized styles, ensuring they didn't rely on raw instinct alone. Despite Oven's skill, the dinosaur proved formidable, matching him blow for blow. Custard, watching closely, began to think. This thing's defense is insane. Regular weapons wouldn't even scratch it. But maybe. An idea sparked in her mind. Sneaking away, Custard returned moments later with a giant chunk of meat, which he had injected with a potent sedative. "Hey, stupid dino. Catch this!" Custard shouted. The dinosaur turned at her yell and instinctively chomped down on the meat, swallowing it whole. For a moment, Oven froze in surprise, but quickly realized what Custard was up to. A grin spread across his face. Not bad. Strength wasn't everything in a fight. To make a quick decision was just as important. Within seconds, the dinosaur staggered and collapsed, its eyes filled with reluctant defeat. Custard approached cautiously. "Wow. That stuff's crazy. Took it down in just 10 seconds. Oven nodded. The sedative was meant for the giants. But yeah, this dinosaur's no joke, probably bronze level 5. Without my devil fruit powers, I'd have struggled to beat it quickly. Big bro's going to love this," Custard said with a grin. "Definitely." With that, Custard opened the massive mirror using her mirror fruit and stored the dinosaur safely inside. "Hey, Oven," Custard suddenly asked. "The sedative won't wear off too soon, right? It'd be a pain if it woke up." "Don't worry," Oven reassured her. "Without the antidote, it'll stay knocked out for a month. Plenty of time. Now let's see if there's anything else interesting on this island." Meanwhile, Oven's other siblings were busy. The Opera brothers had split into 2 groups to confront the island's resident giants, Dory and Brogy. The battles were fierce, shaking the entire island. Opera, observing from afar, noted, "These giants have really declined. They've even forgotten how to use hockey." The fights ended quickly. The brothers had coated their weapons in sedatives, ensuring victory as soon as the giants were injured. Mission accomplished. They reported. Custard and Oven arrived to collect the unconscious giants, storing them in the mirror dimension. Soon, Joey appeared with 3 of his sisters. "All done?" he asked, smiling. "Yep." Opera confirmed. "The giants are secured." Excitedly, Custard told Joey about their bizarre dinosaur catch. Joey's eyes lit up. "A unique specimen like that will make a great addition to my pet collection." With their mission complete, Joey gave the order, "Let's head back to the New World. We've got important business to take care of." The crew agreed, knowing the upcoming trades, and the looming God Valley War, would demand their full attention. Their ship sailed off, leaving the island behind. The hunt was over, but the adventure was far from finished. Chapter 65, Return Home. Half a month later. Splash. In the waters of the New World, silence was shattered as a ship burst out of the deep sea, breaking through its coating with a loud pop. Finally back." Oven sighed deeply, his voice filled with emotion. Opera nodded in agreement. "Yes, we've returned to the New World at last." Both were overcome with emotion. After all, this was where they had grown up. Despite the dangers of the New World, it was still home. Tap. Tap. Footsteps approached from behind. Joey's gentle voice broke the moment, "Save the nostalgia for later. This new year will be the first time in ages that the entire family gathers. Big brother." The 2 turned, stepping aside to let Joey through, followed by their younger siblings. Joey walked to the bow of the ship, gazing out at the horizon with a smile. "New World, we're back. Set sail. Destination, Elboff Village." "Yes, young master." With Joey's command, the ship moved again, speeding across the ocean toward its destination. Elboff's warrior village. Watching the distant ship draw closer, Elder Jarl fell silent. The Charlotte family was back. What could this mean for them? Jarl understood all too well. Sigh. He exhaled deeply, mumbling, "This is all for the betterment of the giants." He shook his head, suppressing his thoughts. He couldn't afford to let even the slightest hint of hesitation slip. Facing Joey, a shrewd man, even a momentary lapse could be fatal. Soon, the ship docked. Joey stepped off the ship, his hands in his pockets, his coat billowing dramatically in the wind. He stopped 10 meters from Jarl, his smile unyielding. "Elder Jarl, I've returned with Dory and Brogy of the giant warrior pirates. Are you ready to honor your end of the deal?" Jarl suppressed his fury. He had once wanted to kill Linlin, and now Joey filled him with the same frustration. The Charlotte family had always been a thorn in the giants' side. Despite the grievances they'd caused, they remained untouchable. Jarl waved his hand, summoning a group of young giants, all just children. Watching the crowd of small, round-faced children, Joey's lips curled into an amused smile. Interesting. Jarl was cunning, even for a giant. He knew the Charlotte family wouldn't last forever. Maybe just 30 or 40 years, right? In a century, as their power waned, these children would mature into formidable warriors loyal to the giants, not the Charlotte family. It was a clever strategy. But Joey had his own plans. Training adult giants to submit would have been a headache. Receiving children instead was an unexpected boon. Thank you, Elder Jarl. Joey said with a smile. Custard, release them. Got it, big brother. Custard stepped forward, summoning an enormous mirror with her devil fruit powers. Thud. Dory and Brogy tumbled out, unconscious. Without hesitation, Jarl directed the young giants to step into the mirror. Obedience was second nature to them. Jarl watched closely, muttering to himself, what kind of devil fruit is this? A spatial or special type? As the last child entered the mirror, Custard closed it, leaving Jarl pondering the power of devil fruits. Though giants often dismissed them as unnecessary, Jarl knew better. A giant with a powerful devil fruit, like a Logia type, could become nearly invincible. Joey tossed a vial of antidote to Jarl. Give this to Dory and Broggy. They'll wake up in 3 minutes. Jarl wasted no time, administering the antidote. Moments later, the two giants groggily woke up. Dory jumped to his feet, furious. Those bastards used poison. Brogy growled, cowards. Show yourselves and fight us. Jarl's relief at their recovery quickly turned to rage. Dory. Brogy. What have you two been doing all these years? The two fell silent, their courage vanishing under Jarl's glare. Decades ago, the two had been raised by Jarl and Jorl. Their decision to duel endlessly on Little Garden had been a disgrace to their training. You've let your skills decay so much you can't even use hockey anymore? Starting today, you'll undergo rigorous training. No rest until I'm satisfied. Yes, sir. They nodded meekly. Pride meant little in the face of the elder's wrath. Meanwhile, Joey had little interest in the giant tribe's internal matters. He was busy ensuring all 10,000 young giants signed servitude contracts. Those who resisted? A little persuasion, or force, did the trick. After a week of effort, the contracts were finalized, and the Charlotte family returned to Whole Cake Island. Home at last. Opera and his brothers sighed in unison as they stepped onto the familiar shores. Two young girls, Mash and Cornstarch, ran up excitedly. Big brother. Joey caught them in a warm embrace. Have you two been studying hard? He asked. Mash grinned. Yes, big brother. I've been very diligent. Joey chuckled, good, but I've noticed someone's gained a little weight. Time for some exercise. Mash pouted but nodded obediently. Joey laughed softly, ruffling her hair. His approach to his siblings was always patient and kind. The other siblings, Zaccato, Nustort, Vascart, Dasmarca, Noiset, Moscato, Campo, and Lauren, soon gathered around, all smiles. You've all been behaving while I was away, right? Zaccato, now 6, proudly answered, yes. We've been listening to Prospero and training hard. Good. Joey replied with a nod. As they made their way home, Joey's smile deepened. Surrounded by his family, he felt at peace. This was home, a place where love and loyalty thrived. Back at the castle, the entire family gathered in the meeting hall, even the youngest members. Though many didn't understand the discussions, they sat attentively, learning by simply being present. The Charlotte family was thriving, their influence stronger than ever. Chapter 66, The Future Plans of the Charlotte Family. The Charlotte family now had 23 members. And back in the meeting room, everyone took their respective seats. Joey sat casually on the sofa, scanning the room before breaking the silence. Prospero, the people I told you to prepare, are they ready? Prospero quickly responded, big bro. The 500 Death Squad members you requested are ready. Joey, however, shook his head. We don't need that many anymore. Custard has eaten the mirror fruit, so there's no need for so many sacrifices. Huh? Prospero froze for a second but then beamed with joy as he looked at Custard. As the eldest son of the Charlotte family, he knew very well what it meant when their big brother handed out devil fruits. Custard being granted the mirror fruit symbolized her growth, it was an acknowledgement from Joey. And when a little sister grows up, what kind of older brother wouldn't be proud? He. Custard giggled bashfully, scratching her head with an innocent, adorable expression. Daifuku squinted and chimed in, big bro. Custard eating the mirror fruit does simplify things, just take her along when the time comes. But this girl's combat skills are weak. Controlling a devil fruit like that won't be easy for her. True. Daifuku and Oven exchanged sharp glances. They both understood what kind of dangerous place she'd be walking into. Sending their little sister there? It wasn't something to be taken lightly. Joey spoke with a calm, gentle tone. Of course, we'll ensure Custard's safety above all else. Wealth, treasures, they mean nothing compared to your lives. Remember this, everything can be regained, but there's no need to throw your lives away. Understood? Understood. Everyone nodded solemnly. Joey smiled warmly and continued, now that Custard has eaten the mirror fruit, there's no need for such extreme caution. The rest of you can start to ease off. Let's move on to discuss the next phase of our development plan. At this, the atmosphere turned sharp. Prospero looked a bit embarrassed. Big bro, over the past period, managing all this has resulted in about a 30% loss across various areas. No. Joey interrupted, cutting Prospero off. He turned to Daifuku and Oven instead. Daifuku, Oven, how has Prospero been handling things? Daifuku responded first. Big bro, Prospero has done everything he possibly could. Some of the issues. Oven continued, some of those problems weren't something Prospero could handle alone. Joey smiled and looked back at Prospero. Did you hear that? Don't be afraid of losses. If something's gone, it's gone. What matters is growth. Moving forward, all family business will be managed by you. The future of the family's businesses is now your responsibility. What? Prospero shot up in shock. Big bro, I can't do this. But a large blade materialized, forcing Prospero back into his seat. Joey, still smiling, said, Prospero, if I say you can, then you can. What, are you going to disobey your family head? Prospero swallowed hard and obediently replied, I understand, big bro. Joey chuckled. Alright, no need to look so stressed. Let me tell you, there are plenty of people out there who'd kill to take over the Charlotte family's business. Prospero, start preparing. 2 years from now, we're launching. A glint of determination flashed in Joey's eyes. Prospero immediately understood. The Charlotte family had, for years, solely dealt in gene fruits, never branching out into other trades. Yet even with this single focus, they'd risen to an incredible level. But gene fruits couldn't be mass-produced. That wouldn't make sense. If they flooded the market, the value of gene fruits would plummet. Scarcity creates value, and gene fruits were no exception. Now, however, the family was finally stepping into other businesses, a decision that had piqued the curiosity of every sibling. Taking a deep breath, Prospero said, Big bro, I understand. Joey smiled again. Relax. Learn step by step. You'll manage everything just fine, won't you? Prospero nodded firmly, and Joey's expression softened even further. Joey knew he'd eventually have to let go and entrust responsibilities to his siblings. As the family head, his role was to oversee their growth, not micromanage every detail. And when it came to business, no one was better suited than Prospero. Cunning, ruthless, and shrewd, he protected his family fiercely, but his true nature made him perfect for handling the cutthroat world of business. Now, Joey continued, reduce our gene fruit transactions and prepare for new ventures, slave trading, arms dealing, and any profitable industry. No matter what it is. Prospero nodded with determination. In this world, there were 3 main power players, legitimate nations under the world government. Pirates roaming the seas. The underworld overlords. These included the underworld emperors of the New World, the 5 great mafia families of the West Blue, bounty hunters, assassins, and more. Among them, pirates were the least respected. Though they couldn't be eradicated, they were often looked down upon. Nations and underground powers endured for centuries, but pirate crews? They always had an expiration date. No pirate crew ever evolved into a lasting power. That's why pirates were seen as tools, necessary for the world's balance but ultimately expendable. Sure, pirates were powerful. But could they really be wiped out? Absolutely. If the entire world united, eradicating pirates would be child's play. They weren't eliminated simply because their existence served a purpose. Daifuku, Oven. Joey called out, turning to his brothers. You two must be wondering, what's your role in all this? Indeed, they were curious. Katakuri had taken some siblings to sail the seas as pirates. Prospero was now in charge of the family business. So what about the 2 of them? Joey chuckled. You 2 troublemakers don't need fixed roles. Go wherever you're needed, just don't become pirates. Got it? We're one family. No need to overcomplicate things. This statement left them momentarily stunned. They'd all been thinking about having fixed roles and responsibilities. Hey. Joey laughed helplessly. You brats just don't get it. We're a family. Stop worrying about what you're responsible for. As family members, isn't it our duty to step up when the family needs us? The pirates don't need you, but the family does. For anything and everything. Got it? Hearing Joey's words, everyone silently nodded. It finally hit them. Yeah. They were family, brothers and sisters. Why waste time overcomplicating things? Just help out where needed. Alright then. Satisfied, Joey continued, Daifuku, Oven, how are things progressing with the Tato Land Sea territory? Daifuku nodded seriously. Big brother, the central area has already been cleared. We've reduced the total number of islands to 36, just as you requested. The rest have all been dealt with. Oven chimed in, and besides that, we've assigned suitable islands for the Tontatas, Ana, and dwarves. I've also started hiring craftsmen and workers to modify and build on those 3 islands. This, of course, required massive amounts of money. But money wasn't an issue. After all, for the Charlotte family, with its decades of accumulated wealth, such expenses were nothing. After thinking for a moment, Joey said, Daifuku, bring me the map of the Tato Land Sea territory showing the positions of the 36 islands. I want to take a look. Got it, big brother. Daifuku immediately spread the map on Joey's desk. Joey studied the map closely, and the others gathered around as well. After a moment, Joey remarked, some of these island positions are problematic. Daifuku, I'll redraw the map tonight. Tomorrow, you and Opera will reposition the islands according to my plan. Remember. No room for error, not even by an inch. Understood. Got it. The 2 brothers nodded seriously. This was clearly an extremely important task. Otherwise, their big brother wouldn't have been this strict. Joey continued, aside from the Tontatas, Ana, and dwarves, I've also brought the giants back this time. He shook his head. There was too much to deal with and too many responsibilities piling up. Prospero said, Big brother, there's nothing we can do about it. There's too much on our plate to handle everything at once. Fortunately, we still have a year and a half before the next world meeting. We have enough time. Yeah. Joey nodded. Time is on our side for now. The next phase is crucial. The family will transition into a development phase. Business, construction, and nation building, will handle all of it simultaneously. Prospero, Daifuku, Oven, Opera. Yes, big brother. The 4 looked at Joey with burning determination. Joey declared seriously, the 4 of you will oversee these tasks. Prioritize safety. The reconstruction of the Tato Land Sea territory is the most critical. No mistakes allowed. Use all family resources if needed. Once the God Valley matter is settled, I'll have Katakuri return to assist you. Everyone nodded solemnly. They understood. Tato Land. This was the face of the Charlotte family. If Joey made such a grand display and yet something went wrong in Tato Land, it'd be utterly humiliating. They'd become the laughingstock of the world. This was no joke. It was a fact. When you're in a position of power, any blunder can cost you. If you mess up, the next time, they won't let you join the game. In this world, being in the right position meant showing the strength and daring to match it. With that, the meeting was adjourned. Everyone continued discussing the various tasks, while Joey sat back, lost in thought. From here on out, the family's development would enter a stable yet dangerous period. There were plenty of people who didn't want to see the Charlotte family grow. And before the next world meeting in a year and a half, they'd have to deal with countless troubles coming their way. Chapter 67, Minister of Protein. It didn't take long. Most people had already left. Only Joey and Prospero remained in the meeting room. Joey smiled and said, Prospero, if you've got something to say, just say it. Big brother. Prospero sat down and lowered his voice. To be honest, I don't have much confidence. Joey replied gently, Prospero, what's there to be unsure about? Remember this, you have your big brother right behind you. As long as I'm here, all you have to do is keep moving forward. No matter how big the challenge, I'll take care of it for you. His tone was soft and kind. Yet, it carried an undeniable authority. Just looking at this man, his big brother who had cared for him since they were children, made Prospero unconsciously clench his fists. His resolve hardened. Big brother, I understand now. I know what to do next. But, the construction of Tato Land in the New World seas. It won't be easy, will it? Joey nodded. Leaving it to Daifuku, Oven, Opera, Counter, Cadenza, Cabaletta, and Gala might not be entirely safe. The resources owned by the Charlotte family are simply too vast. That's true. Prospero said seriously. Big brother, our Charlotte family is more than just pirates. Mama and Katakuri established the Big Mom Pirates, but they're only part of our family. If we can make the Charlotte family recognized in every aspect, creating a nation that earns everyone's respect. This. Prospero had grown up under Joey's guidance. He, Compote, and Katakuri all understood their roles and responsibilities. There was no room for idleness. From childhood, They had studied diligently. Though Prospero sometimes got nervous, his abilities were undeniable. He just needed time and experience. Joey nodded. Exactly. From the Big Mom pirates to underground trade, and now building Toto Land. But right now. Joey paused, then continued, to many, the Charlotte family has already become a thorn in their side. The world is only so big, and if a new player tries to take a piece of the pie, it's bound to upset some people. Joey saw the situation clearly. At this point, it was impossible to stop the Charlotte family's growth. The Big Mom pirates were already established. But many people didn't want Toto Land to be founded as a legitimate nation. Starting as pirates, or as underground merchants, wasn't the same as founding a kingdom. The former would always be seen as part of the underworld, no matter how strong they became. They wouldn't earn true respect. A legitimate nation, however, was entirely different. Though people often say, kings and rulers aren't born special. Legitimacy still mattered. A prince inheriting his kingdom and an outsider seizing it, how do you think people would view the difference? That was the core of the issue. Prospero said solemnly, Big Brother, you're right. The Charlotte family's rapid growth has already touched on too many interests. The construction of Toto Land will definitely face resistance. If we don't finish building it before the next reverie in a year and a half, Toto Land will just be a joke. Humphrey. Joey smirked. Well, let's see who dares to challenge us. I've always liked trouble. It's the easiest kind of problem to handle. Seeing Joey's confident demeanor, Prospero nodded. As long as you're prepared, Big Brother, I won't worry. But, isn't our population still too small? It was true. Building a nation required citizens. Right now, their numbers seemed insufficient. Joey smiled. It's not a big deal. We already have control over the fishmen, merfolk, tontitas, Una, and giants. The rest will come in time. For now, the most important thing is the situation at God Valley. The brothers exchanged sharp glances. God Valley. If they could acquire what they needed there, the Charlotte family could shave nearly a decade off their development. The treasure hoarded by the celestial dragons was no joke. Joey said, let's end the discussion here. Soon, the land of Wano and the 5 families of the underworld will come to trade. Make sure everything goes smoothly. Prospero grinned. Don't worry, Big Brother, I've got it under control. With that, the meeting ended. Joey muttered to himself, what will you schemers do to counter my plans? I'm curious to see if you can stop the rise of Toto Land. Let's see who dares to stand in my way. He chuckled softly, his usual warm smile laced with a chilling menace. Time passed quickly. In the garden, Joey was multitasking, reading a book while training with a large sword. Dozens of swords were being wielded in unison, their blades slicing through the air without disturbing a single leaf. After a while, Joey exhaled deeply and took a sip of tea. Broy, what brings you here today? Hee, Big Brother. Broy ran over, smiling brightly. I have a favor to ask. Joey put down his book, pulled her into a hug, and said, go on. If it's reasonable, I'll agree. Big Brother, I want to manage Tenga Island. Joey was momentarily surprised but quickly realized. You mean the island where the Tontita tribe lives? Broy nodded enthusiastically. Yes, Big Brother. I'm good friends with the Tontitas. I want to manage the whole island. Joey pondered for a moment. It's possible, but... Please, Big Brother. Please, please, please. Broy begged, clinging to him. Ha ha ha. Joey laughed, then said gently, all right. If my little sister wants it, it's yours. You'll manage Tenga Island. The kingdom below and the town above are now under your care. He paused to think, then added, and with your Paramsha devil fruit, protein fruit, you'll be named the Minister of Protein. As Joey spoke, the emblem on Broy's chest changed, marking her new position. Yay! Broy cheered, jumping up happily before planting a kiss on Joey's cheek. Thank you, Big Brother. She ran off excitedly, leaving Joey shaking his head with a smile. That girl's growing up. Well, it's good for her to take on more responsibility. She'll mature over time. Joey wasn't worried. He'd been training plenty of capable managers to handle the details. Broy just needed to focus on the bigger picture and her own growth. As a leader, she needed to act like one. Just then, Prospero walked into the garden, smiling. Big Brother. 50 devil fruits, delivered by the 5 families of the underworld. Joey raised an eyebrow. And? Prospero smirked. Over the years, we've recruited 50 of Orochi's artisans and trained countless apprentices. Wano's craftsmen aren't to be underestimated. Our weapons are top-notch now. Joey chuckled. Good. But leave Wano alone for now, it's a tricky spot. How's that other matter? Prospero grew serious. Under control, Big Brother. I've sent 500 men to monitor the situation. Any suspicious activity will be reported immediately. Joey nodded. Good. The mink tribe is the hardest to deal with. This is our only chance. The mink's close ties to the Kazuki clan made them a tough nut to crack. To subjugate them required absolute domination, as resistance would prevent the signing of a slave contract. Just then, Custard rushed in, shouting, "Big brother!" A call, from the Kingdom of Adam. The room fell silent. The Kingdom of Adam, a nation built around the legendary treasure tree Adam, was a world powerhouse. Joey answered the call with a smile. "Adam, it's rare for you to contact me first. What's the occasion?" A gentle laugh came through the transponder snail. "Joey, my friend, let's not be so formal. Cooperation is always a good thing, isn't it?" Joey's smile deepened. "True. So, what kind of cooperation are we talking about?" Prospero and Custard exchanged glances. The atmosphere grew tense. The Kingdom of Adam, once dismissive of the Charlotte family, had come knocking. A storm was indeed brewing. Chapter 68, Kingdom of Adam. Joey. Adam. Through the den mushy, an eerie silence filled the air. Both remained quiet, lost in thought. Treasure tree Adam. The Kingdom of Adam. In truth, every king of the Adam Kingdom was named Adam to honor the origin of the kingdom. The treasure tree Adam nurtured the entire kingdom and symbolized its power. The kings were seen as the embodiment of the treasure tree Adam, a kind of divine right of kings. After all, rulers loved playing these symbolic games to legitimize their authority. As Joey pondered the vast history and strange customs of the Adam Kingdom, Adam finally broke the silence. "Chief Joey, it seems the Charlotte family has developed a new weapon?" Hey. Joey chuckled softly. "Impressive, Mr. Adam. Your intelligence network never disappoints." "That's correct, the Charlotte family has successfully created a new weapon. I won't brag about its power, but I can confidently say it's at least 40% more advanced than any weapon currently on the market." Adam's interest was piqued. 40%, huh? Interesting. If I recall, the world government's weapons are also about 40% more advanced than those available to the general public. Quite the coincidence, wouldn't you say? Joey smiled confidently. Of course. If you're stepping into a new field, you have to come prepared to make waves. Adam nodded. In that case, Chief Joey, when do you plan to release these weapons to the market? After a brief pause, Joey replied, in 2 years. Perfect? Adam said without hesitation. In that case, I'll claim 60% of the weapons you release. Joey was momentarily taken aback by Adam's bold statement but quickly regained his composure. Mr. Adam, you should understand, these weapons won't come cheap. Moreover, I'm only interested in trading for devil fruits. Pure Baileys? That would make for a dull transaction. Adam laughed. Naturally. I'm well aware of the Charlotte family's preferred method of trade. Don't worry, 2 years from now, everything will be ready. Here's my offer, 20 billion Baileys and 10 devil fruits as a deposit. What do you say? Joey nodded. Deal. Hey. A pleasure doing business with you. Joey replied with a polite smile, the pleasure is all mine. With that, the call ended. Joey's eyes gleamed with a peculiar light as he seemed to be lost in thought. Prospero, standing nearby, looked concerned. Big brother, if the Adam Kingdom knows about this, do you think they'll? They will. Joey replied firmly. This isn't a question of if, it's guaranteed. The Adam Kingdom may have grown powerful and sophisticated, but their roots are as crooked as ever. Do you really think they've changed their true nature? That. Prospero hesitated, then continued with a sharp look in his eyes. Big brother, even if they don't attack us outright, a covert battle with the Adam Kingdom would still put us at a disadvantage. Joey remained calm. It doesn't matter. I'll handle the arrangements. Prospero, ensure our business dealings run smoothly, and start relocating everyone to the Tato Land Sea territory. As for the unworthy ones, you know what to do. Understood. Prospero nodded before leaving. Joey leaned back, narrowing his eyes as he contemplated the growing complexity of the situation. Things were getting messier and more dangerous. But if he could navigate this treacherous path successfully, the rewards would be monumental. Through this, the Charlotte family could truly rise to the top. Joey muttered to himself, Adam. So you've decided to test the waters. Interesting. If you want to try, then go ahead and try. His eyes flashed with sharp determination before he returned to his tea and books, letting the storm brew in the background. Elsewhere, on a massive pirate ship, this ship radiated an overwhelming, oppressive aura. The presence of its inhabitants alone was terrifying. Ah! A man downed his drink in one gulp. This was Rox Zebuk, the captain of the infamous Rox pirates, a man hailed as the ruler of the seas and the supreme power of his era. Rox glared at the crew before him, his sharp eyes scanning each of them. Golden Lion Shiki. Big Mom Charlotte Linlin. Whitebeard Edward Newgate. Captain John. Silver Acts. Wang Zi Okaku. In addition to these 6 monsters, there were 14 other officers, a total of 20 elite members. Each officer possessed at least silver rank 1 strength, making the Rocks pirates a nightmare for anyone who dared cross them. As for Kaido, the future Emperor of the Seas, he was merely a rookie on board, a trainee pirate who wasn't even worth mentioning in this lineup. Without Linlin's gift of the fish fruit, Azure Dragon model, his future might have been very different. Rocks laughed maniacally, his terrifying presence enveloping the ship. 10 days from now, the God Valley banquet will begin. You lot better call in every ally you can. I don't care what schemes you're plotting, but if anyone dares cross me. Humphrey. Rock's Conqueror's hockey exploded outward, covering the entire ship in a suffocating pressure. Even among this group of monsters, none dared challenge Rocks. His power was absolute, his dominance undeniable. He was the strongest. No one could rival Rock's Zebek. Meanwhile, on the Queen Mama Chanter, a pirate ship that had become infamous over the past few months, Charlotte Linlin, carrying her son, landed aboard. Mom. Katakuri, Compote, Cracker, and Demand called out excitedly. Linlin beamed. My wonderful children. Compote stepped forward, her voice filled with joy. Mom, we've prepared a cake for you. Oh? Linlin's attention instantly shifted, and she followed Compote into the ship, leaving the rest of her children on the deck. Katakuri and Cracker observed the Rocks pirates warily, their sharp eyes scanning the formidable crew. What monsters? A man muttered, her voice tinged with awe. Cracker crouched, nodding in agreement. Yeah. These guys are something else. So, this is the Rocks pirates? Katakuri interrupted with a calm tone. Still they will be used by us for our benefit. The siblings fell silent, their determination unshaken. After all, their mother, Linlin, was here, they had nothing to fear. After a few days Joey reached his siblings' pirate ship, the Queen Mama Chanter. Joey and Linlin hadn't seen each other in years. Finally, they were about to reunite. A mother and son meeting again after so long. Yet the atmosphere was anything but ordinary. Chapter 69, Mother and Son Reunion. Joey and Linlin stared at each other. For a moment, silence filled the air. Hee hee hee. Linlin chuckled joyfully, exclaiming, Joey. Joey. Mama's Joey. It's been so long. As she spoke, she lunged forward and hugged Joey tightly. Sigh. Joey, who had planned to say something, could only sigh helplessly at his childlike and naive mother. Mom. You do know it's been ages, right? What on earth were you thinking? Looking at his mother, Joey was at a loss for words. It was honestly exasperating. Hee hee hee. Linlin grinned, saying proudly, I've been out having fun. And guess what? I've found lots of devil fruits, haven't I? Joey stared at his mother, who was beaming with pride, and couldn't help but retort, Mom. The devil fruits you found don't even count for much. The family trades for about 20 fruits every year. I've got 150 devil fruits in my possession right now. Wah, Linlin started pouting. Joey, are you scolding Mama? How could you scold your mama? Ha ha ha, Katakuri and the others laughed heartily. As expected, no one but their eldest brother could handle their mother. It was a good thing Joey could keep her in check. Otherwise, with her personality, she'd probably bankrupt the entire family's wealth in no time. Sigh. Joey sighed as he looked at his 30-year-old mother, who was now crying on the floor like a little girl. All right, Mom. I wasn't trying to upset you. Momo, did you prepare the pastries for her? Swish. Before a Kangakubo Momo could respond, Linlin zipped over in a flash, her eyes gleaming as if she wanted to devour her entirely. However, Momo was used to this behavior. Bowing respectfully, she said, Madam, the desserts are right over here. Hee hee hee. Delighted, Linlin followed her to the pastries. Meanwhile, Joey glanced at the baby boy cradled in the maid's arms and said warmly, This is the 20th son of the Charlotte family, isn't it? Charlotte Monder. The baby had been born not long ago. Joey smiled gently, as though lost in thought. 14 years ago, the family had consisted of only him and his mother. And now? He had many younger brothers and sisters. Although all these children were born by his mother, Joey had ensured that Linlin only extracted the souls of strong individuals, fusing them with a fragment of her own soul to create the children. This strange process. Even Joey himself didn't fully understand how it worked. Still, it was how he was born, as well as all his siblings. So, there wasn't much to complain about. Clap. Katakuri approached Joey with a serious expression. Big bro, the Rocks pirates are preparing to attack God Valley. Are you sure it's not too dangerous for you to go to the battlefield yourself? Yeah, big bro. You don't need to go, It's way too risky. Everyone was visibly worried. Nobody wanted Joey to put himself in harm's way. Just as Edward had analyzed before, the Charlotte family might look grand and powerful with its underground trade, the Big Mom pirates, and the establishment of Toto Land. But everything hinged on the man named Charlotte Joey. If something were to happen to him, the massive family could crumble overnight. Joey raised a hand and smiled. Don't worry. I've prepared everything thoroughly. There won't be any problems. He glanced at his 3 younger sisters, who hesitated to approach. Mundi, Hashi, Etheli. The 3 snake-neck sisters were peeking shyly from a corner. This time, 7 siblings had gone out together, but they were the weakest trio. It was a source of great embarrassment for them. Seeing their timid behavior, Joey called out warmly, "What are you standing there for? Come here, all of you. Big bro. Big bro." The 3 girls shuffled over awkwardly. Joey teased them gently, "What's wrong? Feeling shy around your big brother now?" "And no," Mundi said, lowering her head adorably. "It's just. We feel embarrassed. We're so weak compared to everyone else." She wasn't wrong. Katakuri, Cracker, Compote, and Amand were all incredibly talented. Although Mundi, Hashi, and Etheli were decent in their own right, they paled in comparison to those monstrous siblings. Looking at Mundi, with her perfect figure and wavy, ocean blue hair, Joey shook his head with a smile. The 4 sisters were quadruplets, yet each had a unique appearance. Mundi was petite and lily-like, despite her snake-neck heritage. Amand had a striking, mature figure like a perfect elder sister. Hashi was tall and slender, already smoking despite her young age. Etheli, though a snake-neck, looked surprisingly human-like. The one thing they shared was their flowing, azure hair. As Joey lounged on the sofa, he turned to Amand and asked, "How was your time away, Amand?" Lighting a cigarette, Amand replied with a sigh, "Big bro, the sea is truly full of madness and danger. And that's with the Rocks pirates suppressing the chaos of this era. If they were gone, who knows what would happen." "Indeed." Joey nodded approvingly. "You've matured well. Once this mission is over, you'll return to the family. The Big Mom pirates don't need you to keep growing here. As the leader of the 36 ministers I've appointed, your place is at home." Amand nodded. "Understood, big bro." Then Joey turned to Mundi, Hashi, and Etheli. "You 3. Neither of you has the decisiveness to act independently. You're better off supporting others." The 2 nodded without protest, they knew he was right. Joey then presented them with weapons. "Hashi, this is for you, the poisonous snake blade. Etheli, these are yours, the twin serpent pistols." Both girls beamed with joy. In the Charlotte family, receiving weapons from Big Bro meant you could still play a crucial role. Finally, Joey handed Mundi a devil fruit. "Mundi, this is yours, the clear fruit. And your weapon, the bloody snake blade." "Big bro." Mundi's face lit up with excitement, her smile so wide it was almost scary. Joey chuckled. "All right, you 3 will act as a team from now on. Stick together and handle things as a unit." "Yes." The sisters saluted in unison. Joey stood, addressing everyone sternly. "Keep my arrival a secret. No information must leak. We'll wait for the war at God Valley to begin." Everyone nodded seriously. Just then, Linlin burst in, beaming happily with cake crumbs on her face. "Joey!" she shouted, grabbing him and rubbing her cheek against his. Joey froze, his expression twisted. His brand new black ceremonial robe was now stained. "Mom!" "Joey!" "Ha ha ha ha!" Joey's angry roar was drowned out by the laughter of his siblings. 10 days later, fleets of pirate ships, nearly 100 strong, set sail toward God Valley under the command of the Rocks pirates. God Valley, a sacred island for the world nobles, hosted a grand gathering every decade where they flaunted their treasures and slaves. This year, Roxy Zebuk, the era's most fearsome pirate, planned to seize it all. Chapter 70, The God Valley War. Queen Mama Chantar on board the pirate ship stood a massive, eerie mirror that would make anyone feel uneasy. However, within the mirror was a pair of watching eyes. Inside the mirror's space, tea and delicious snacks had been prepared. Joey sat there quietly, observing the man standing at the helm of the pirate ship. He murmured softly, "Silver level 5. This is the strongest power I've ever seen. What a terrifying monster. Even Mom, Whitebeard, and Shiki are only at silver level 3. Big bro?" Mundi and Custard, the 2 sisters, stood behind Joey, tilting their heads curiously. Joey shook his head. "Nothing, just amazed." As expected of the captain of the Rocks pirates. "He is undeniably the strongest in this era." "Big bro, does that mean Mom can't beat him?" Custard asked curiously. Joey replied seriously, "No, Mom can't beat him. In a one-on-one fight, Nobody in this era stands a chance against him. But if Mom, Whitebeard, and Shiki teamed up and fought with everything they had, taking down Rox wouldn't be impossible. Oh. Custard nodded adorably. Mundy, however, asked, Big Bro, are we planning to sneak in? Joey nodded. Of course. Mundy had the clear fruit. Custard had the mirror fruit. With these two devil fruits, sneaking around was child's play. Custard could create mirrors and hide inside them. Mundy could use her clear fruit to turn invisible and sneak Custard into the back of God Valley. Joey would stay in the mirror dimension, waiting for the right moment. This plan was flawless. Honestly, without the mirror and clear fruits, Joey wouldn't have even thought about getting involved in such chaos. The God Valley War. This war wasn't something you could participate in lightly. One wrong move and you wouldn't even know how you died. Better to stay cautious. Meanwhile, countless pirate ships were heading toward God Valley, cutting through the unique weather and treacherous routes of the area. Soon, they could see the mysterious island hidden deep within the sea. Edwards squinted. So that's the legendary God Valley? Jahahaha. Shiki laughed menacingly. Those so-called celestial dragons. Let's show them the terror of pirates. Humphrey, John, Wang's Silver Axe, and other officers smirked darkly, each more menacing than the last. Meanwhile, Linlin sat calmly on a sofa on the deck, savoring her sweets as if she were on vacation, enjoying afternoon tea. Kitakuri and Cracker, however, were visibly tense. Their hearts pounded heavily. Though strong in their own right, Kitakuri at bronze level 9 and Cracker at bronze level 8, they had never participated in a war of this magnitude before. In fact, no one here had. This was a once-in-a-lifetime war. Who wouldn't feel nervous? Kitakuri gripped his trident tightly, muttering, Am I scared? No. I'm excited. I'll use this war to make the Charlotte family's name known to the world. Everyone will see how strong we are. Cracker exhaled deeply, trying to calm his racing heart. This will be the grandest war of all time. Suddenly, Joey's voice echoed in their ears, a calm chuckle. You two brats, focus on this war. Your job is to understand yourselves and grow stronger. The grandest war? Ha. The future holds far greater battles. The future? You'll fight alongside me against foes beyond this world, angels, demons, scions, crazy scientists, titans, and a lot more. Who knows what else is out there? The mere mention of these possibilities sent their blood boiling with excitement. After all, they were still young. If youth isn't wild and ambitious, then what is it? Hell yeah. Let's go. Their fighting spirit surged, drawing the attention of those around them. Even Rox himself glanced over at Linlin's group, narrowing his eyes. Rox thought to himself, strange. I feel like someone's watching me, but I can't sense anything. Whatever. I don't have time for that now. Celestial dragons, I'm coming for your heads. God Valley. The island was split into two distinct atmospheres. The rear was brightly lit, filled with laughter and revelry. The celestial dragons were indulging in their hedonistic pleasures, laughing maniacally, enjoying gladiatorial fights between slaves, and flaunting their wealth. As for the Rox pirates' imminent attack? They couldn't care less. As world nobles, they believed they were untouchable. Why bother worrying about some lowly pirates? Their party would go on uninterrupted. Meanwhile, at the front of the island, things were vastly different. The Navy and CP organizations had gathered here in full force, ready to defend. Garp clenched his fists tightly, his face twisted in anger. He wanted to speak out, but Sengoku and Zephyr held him back. Truthfully, it wasn't just Garp. The faces of every Marine present were grim. They were here to fight the Rox pirates, putting their lives on the line, while the Celestial Dragons partied as if nothing was happening. It was an insult to everything they stood for. But what could they do? They focused their anger on the battlefield ahead. The CP agents, on the other hand, cared only about protecting the Celestial Dragons. Anything else was none of their concern. Suddenly, the sound of crashing waves drew everyone's attention. They're here. Sengoku muttered. The strongest, the Rox pirates. Monsters of this era. A suffocating tension fell over the battlefield. Even though the battle hadn't begun, the oppressive atmosphere was enough to make the weaker or less resolute faint on the spot. On the Rox pirates' flagship, Rox stood at the bow, grinning maniacally. Oi, oi? It's just you little brats? Where are those old geezers? He referred, of course, to Garp, Sengoku, and Zephyr, who were mere juniors compared to him. From the Marines, Kong, the commander-in-chief, stepped forward. Rox. You dare show your face here? This is a place of absolute justice. Your tyranny ends here. Absolute justice? Rox sneered. Don't make me laugh. Sure, I'm no saint, But those celestial dragons? They're worse scum than any pirate. Don't insult me with your jokes, old man. Kong's expression darkened but didn't respond. Rox wasn't wrong, after all. At that moment, two more figures emerged, Karasu, Black Crow, and Byako, White Tiger. The three legendary admirals of the era stood ready. Rox grinned. Finally, some worthy opponents. Let's get started. He drew his sword, raising it high. Boys. Destroy God Valley. All the treasure you find is yours. And for every celestial dragon you kill, I'll pay 5 billion Baileys. Rah! The pirates erupted in madness, surging forward with bloodlust. Inside the mirror dimension, Joey remained calm, though Mundy and Custard were visibly tense. This war, Joey said, it's just a joke. Rox thinks he can overthrow the world government with a single pirate crew? Ridiculous. Mom, just play along, but don't take it seriously. Linlin laughed cheerfully. Joey. My sweet Joey. Worried about Mama? Don't worry. Mama won't do anything foolish. Joey sighed internally. You? Not do anything foolish? Yeah, right. He thought about the blue dragon fruit she gave to Kaido. What was she thinking? Giving such a precious fruit to him, while ignoring her own children? Joey couldn't take any chances with her impulsive decisions. Mundy muttered, Big bro, you're the only one Mom listens to. Nobody else can convince her of anything. Joey chuckled. That's because you don't know how to talk to her. Treat her like a child, go along with her whims most of the time, but stand firm on important matters. Really? Yeah. But if you try it, she'll probably hit you. The two sisters fell silent. Clearly, Joey's privilege as her favorite was undeniable. Joey laughed. Relax. The war's just starting. Let those pirates wear themselves out. We'll make our move when the time is right. He toyed with a peculiar gemstone in his hand, his eyes narrowing. With Joey's reassurance, Mundy and Custard began to calm down. The God Valley War had officially begun, the grandest battle in pirate history. Chapter 71, War to the Top. Kill them. Slaughter those celestial dragons. This is our war to the top. Kahaha. Amid the chaotic laughter, Rox was like a man possessed, his wild roars echoing endlessly across the battlefield. Roar. Countless pirates charged into the fray like madmen, unleashing their unrestrained fury. Counterattack. Hold the line. Compared to the others, Sengoku was the one taking charge, coordinating the battlefield. In fact, calling him the commander-in-chief wouldn't be an exaggeration. For justice. For justice. The Navy soldiers thumped their chests with one hand, their sheer presence radiating a formidable and awe-inspiring energy. Watching the unwavering resolve of the Marines, Joey couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Say what you will, but the Navy is truly the only force in this world that exists solely for peace. They uphold order on the seas, preventing this world from plunging into the chaotic warring states era of clashing warlords. Huh? Tilting her head, Mundy asked curiously, Big brother, do you really hold the Navy in such high regard? Joey explained patiently, Mundy, what do you think? Me? Mundy seemed lost in thought but couldn't find the right words to respond. Joey continued, the Navy maintains balance in this world. If they were to suddenly stop their operations, countless nations would descend into chaos. Pirates would run rampant, and governments would struggle to maintain peace. At that point, the entire world would spiral into an era of warring factions. Mundy pondered for a moment before replying hesitantly, so, according to what you're saying, if the Navy just stopped supervising, then many countries would. As she spoke, Mundy suddenly realized something and gasped. Wait. She inhaled sharply and looked at Joey with wide eyes. Big brother. If the Navy were gone, pirates would attack nations, and once these countries have a reason to retaliate, those people. Joey nodded approvingly. Exactly, Mundy. Think it through. Whether I'm right or wrong, you need to analyze the situation. Just as you said, without the Navy, pirates would target nations, and what happens next? Mundy nodded, her expression serious. Those with ambitions. Right now, their schemes are kept in check by the Navy's justice. If that balance disappears, they'd go berserk in an instant. Joey smiled, clearly pleased. Good. You're starting to think critically. Remember, this isn't urgent for now. The war has just begun. What we need is an opportunity, a moment to step into the battlefield. Mundy and Custard watched the battlefield intently. This kind of war was an unmissable experience. Even if they didn't participate, just observing could teach them invaluable lessons. For those who study battles, such moments are incredibly enlightening. Humphrey. Zephyr sneered as he squared off against the enemy. Hey, Golden Lion, are you seriously trying to break through our defenses? Do you think it's that easy? Jahahaha. Shiki grinned maniacally. You troublesome bastard. If you're here to cause problems, then I'll just kill you first. After that, I'll deal with those damn celestial dragons. Zephyr remained calm. Unfortunately for you, that's not going to happen. Black Arm. Finger Pistol. The Six Powers technique, when wielded by Zephyr, reached its absolute peak. With terrifying armament hockey infused into his attack, Zephyr launched a strike so powerful it seemed to obliterate everything in its path. Despite being called a finger pistol, in his hands, it hit with the force of an explosive warhead. Zephyr and Shiki clashed fiercely, neither yielding an inch. Currently, both men stood at Silver Rank Level 3. These weren't the weakened versions of Zephyr and Shiki from the future. No, this was their prime, monsters in their peak form. The future Zephyr, who would lose his family, his students, and even his right arm, was still far off. The future Shiki, who would lose his legs and have a ship's wheel lodged in his head, was still just a nightmare yet to come. At this moment, both men were in their strongest state, capable of drawing out 100%, even 120% of their abilities. That confidence radiated from their every move. How terrifying! Katakuri murmured in awe. Golden Lion and Black Arm. Are they even human? To witness their overwhelming strength in person was something he could never have imagined.